And this is Rob Gurney at Edgbaston, where we've got a slightly delayed start on day 3 of the County Championship match between Warwickshire and Middlesex. The ground staff have been working hard to mop up the outfield after the heavy rain both yesterday afternoon and overnight and into this morning. But the good news is the sun's out, plenty of blue sky around, so an 11:15 start is the plan. Warwickshire looking to push on towards a defendable total in the 4th innings of this game. Currently 189 for 4, with Sam Hain on 66, Jacob Bethel on 9. That's a lead of just 50, but with 6 wickets left, and play due to get underway on day 3 in roughly 10 minutes' time at 11:15. As you probably gathered on the effects microphone, we are about to begin play on day 3 of this LV Insurance Caddy Championship match between Warwickshire and Middlesex here at Edgbaston. I'm Rob Gurney, I'm joined by Kevin Hand, Phil Britt and Chloe Brewer in the fullness of time. but a slightly delayed start to the third day. There has been an awful lot of rain around the West Midlands and further afield into Staffordshire. Yesterday afternoon, overnight and into this morning, so a great deal of mopping up operations on the outfield required. But the ground staff have done a tremendous job with the mopping up, and so we're ready to start slightly later than scheduled. And this is Ryan Higgins completing his over from the pavilion end, and that wraps Bethel on the pads and squirts away for the first run of the day, which is a leg bye. 190 for 4 there for Warwickshire. Sam Hain on 66 and Jacob Bethel on 9. 2 balls left in this Ryan Higgins over, which was curtailed by the intervention of the weather yesterday afternoon. No wicket for 16 in this, his 12th over, 5 maidens. And he runs away from us, bowling to Hain, and Hain plays it stylishly away through mid-wicket for a single. Moves him on to 67. And 191 for 4 is the Bears total. Bright sunshine now, plenty of blue sky in evidence around Birmingham. Some dark clouds here earlier and a touch of drizzle as Higgins comes in again and bowls to the left-handed Bethel, who circumspectly plays this into the mid-wicket area. And there's no runs, and that's the end of the over. 191 for 4. Hain on 67, Bethel on 9, and Kevin Hand handing out the bourbons already. Kevin, good morning.
Don't tell Phil Britt, he'll be upset with me. Where's he gone, Phil? He's asked again if I brought the muffins today. Morning, everyone. Morning, Rob.
And I was just saying, an excellent mop-up job by the ground staff here this morning to just delay the start of play by, what, 10, 15 minutes?
Oh, they did really well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at first you looked at it and thought it was okay, but actually there's a big old mud patch right in front of us there. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, yeah.
Here's to Carey's. So at 7 overs to second new ball. Oh, there's a delay. We can carry on. I thought he was about to go, but Hain's now found something to garden. On a length. He settles over his bat now, slipping a short leg go down, and to Carey steps in. He bowls a lot of flight, nearly a full toss. It's pushed to Tom Helm, who's at extra cover. There's a long on mid-wicket, deep mid-wicket, backward square leg, the short leg, Sam Robson. Slip is Ryan Higgins, deep point, Stephen Eskenazi, cover Tom Helm, and mid-off as well, as this ball's driven down to long on, and a single for Hain. He moves to 68, 192 for 4. No, they did incredibly well, didn't they?
Yeah.
I went down and did a couple of pieces this morning down by the pitch and had to redo them time and time again as news came in. Oh, it could be delayed.
Yes.
Oh, inspection at 10:30. And then it went to 10:45, the inspection, with an 11:15 start. But yeah, there's a damp patch down below us, which they were happy with. And it actually looks as though, however it's been done, I'm sure that wasn't there yesterday. You know, there's been a couple of real divots that have come out of the ground there. As here's to Carey's bowls, and this is pushed away by Bethel into the onside, fielded at mid-wicket, and there's no run. I mean, I guess this is probably what it was like when they used to have football at Wantage Road, but yeah, it's they were playing head tennis down there, weren't they?
And football, so that may have had an impact.
A bit short this one from de Carey's, but Bethel only cuts it to backward point. There's no run, or not head tennis, where you have to chip it with your foot over the net.
Volleyball, but
yeah,
feet,
with your feet,
as it were.
Foot volleyball.
Foot volleyball.
Volley football.
Yes.
Here's de Carey's, he bowls, and a solid defence from Bethel back up the track, and there's no run. Or, as I called it yesterday, volleyball. We were going through the list of most popular sports in the world, and volleyball was up there. I somehow managed to mispronounce it.
Churned up that particular portion of the outfield.
It really has,
right,
yeah.
Which is not good.
Here's de Carey's bowls, and this was cut away out to deep point for a single. Ethan Bamber is out there, the man of the moment. Knocks Kylian Mbappe off the BBC main page the other day. And he's fire for us. Warwickshire bowled out for 60.
Yeah.
I did put it to him last night, and he did say, well, I'll be negotiating a pay rise soon with Alan Coleman. Hope to be remunerated in the same fashion.
Warwickshire looking to push on to a, said for the radio listeners 15 minutes or so ago, to a defendable total in the fourth innings, which be up around at least the 200 mark is what they'll be looking for, as Higgins continues from the pavilion end. He's in right arm to the left-handed Bethel, and Bethel gets everything behind that and pushes that into the offside for no run.
So my reading last night was 150 to 200 is a grey area. Anything below 150, Middlesex really should win it.
Yeah.
Anything above 200, I think it's Warwickshire's. And anything in the middle. So that puts pretty much bang at the middle, the 50-50 moment of, oh, where's it? Who's going to win it? 175 the lead.
Yes, that's
as soon as it goes past that, you're starting to lean to Warwickshire.
As Higgins is there and bowls to Bethel, who pulls this one away. And they jog through for a comfortable single down to fine leg. Takes Bethel into double figures, onto 11 he made, 194 for 4 now.
A little unofficial straw poll last night. All came up with the same as well. Everybody went for 175. That's the point where it's 50-50. Who's going to win? So 55 is the lead at the moment.
From Middlesex's point of view, having skittled the home side for 60 on the opening day, if they weren't to win this, then
yes,
it'll be a massive disappointment as Higgins comes in and Hayne leaves that one alone outside the off stump.
That did a little bit, didn't it?
It did,
to come back in and
back and
see if it
over the off bail.
It's been one of those matches where there's late swings. You can't quite tell if it's the late swing has adjusted the line and then it continues on that line, or whether it's went off the surface on that line. It quite simply could easily be one or t'other for Higgins there. I'll have a look and see if we can see on the replay.
As he turns at this pavilion end, runs away from us and is in again to Sam Hayne, and that's a more straightforward shouldering of arms from the Warwickshire batsman through to wicketkeeper John Simpson.
Let's see. Yeah, probably went off the surface, that one. Was it third ball of the over? I think it was.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was the fourth. I've just watched that one again. I see the third. The fourth went off the surface.
Higgins comes in and bowls, and Hayne solidly behind that pushes it back down the pitch, and Higgins does the fielding off his own bowling.
There we go. The fourth was a much shorter ball, but here we go. The third ball swings late and then continues on that line from where it swung to. Whoop, and then it goes. Continuing its line. So it wasn't so much seam movement. So a little bit of swing out there. There wasn't so much swing on the first day. Certainly the first morning for Middlesex, it was seam movement. And Warwickshire found a little bit of swing.
Higgins comes in again and bowls, and Hayne shuffling round his crease, but doesn't need to play at that. So that's the end of the over. 194 for 4 is the Warwickshire total in their second innings. Dan Mosley was out late on yesterday for 58, shared in a terrific stand for the fourth wicket with Sam Hayne. That was worth 110 for the fourth wicket. And there's a lot more cloud cover around. It looked like it'd be very helpful for Middlesex, but anyway, De Keira's coming in.
Bowls, this is pushed back to him, there's no run. Here's that last ball of the over, and so he had what, 4-5 in dippers, and then last ball just holds its line away, possibly even moves away off the surface slightly. So there's still something in it, which is the point. You know, it's clearly flattened out as the game's gone on. As De Keira's bowls, that's left alone. De Keira's suggesting it was very, very close to the off stump. We'll have a look and make our own mind up on that, and it wasn't far away, but good leave. I guess from the angle he's bowling at, it's a brave leave that it doesn't slide on. Probably did just straighten away from the stump. He's in again, bowls, and this ball's cut out to deep cover for a single by Hayne. He moves to 69, 190. I've got that the wrong way round, haven't I? They're ahead of me, are they? No, 195 for 4, there we go. So Hayne settles over his bat on 68. Carries, moves in, bowls, and Hayne up on his toes, works this way out to deep mid-wicket for a single. He moves to 69. Bethel has 12, back on strike. It's lightning quick, that scoreboard, it really has. I think what I did was I looked at the shot, looked up, and it had the little green marker next to Hayne, and I gave it to Hayne even though he's a right-hander. It's De Keira as he bowls, and this ball's clipped back with a square on the leg side for a single by Bethel, and he moves to 13. I'm relatively confidently saying they're so quick on that scoreboard. 197 for 4. Slip in the short leg, preparing to crouch down. But yeah, just going back to our wet patches. So down below, where we've got this horrible bit which my eye was drawn to, which distracted us rather, as his De Carey's bowls down the leg side to Hayne. Just pops out the glove of Simpson and through to Ryan Higgins, running around from slip to leg. But the area of major concern was over by the hollies. That was the bit that they really needed to get dry. And as soon as that was going to be of the same level that they'd got the bit down below as the pavilion, then we were okay to go. So yeah, so what was originally, I think, was a murmured 10:30 inspection for an 11 o'clock start moved to a 10:45 inspection for 11:15.
Now the sun's out, hopefully it'll do the job of properly drying out the surface.
Yeah, goodness me, they worked hard this morning, the ground staff.
They did. As Higgins continues from the pavilion end, he's in to the left-handed Bethel, who squirts this away to point, and there's no run.
Whisper was that a lot turned up this morning thinking it was going to be a lot worse than it was. So the ground staff have done a great job. And of course this 16 points is massive for both. Warwickshire with the game in hand on the 3 teams above. If they win this, they remain with the game in hand and still Surrey to play. And the season's very much alive for them.
As Higgins starts his run and takes a step back, he's on his way in though now and bowls to Bethel, and Bethel a similar stroke to the one he just played out to point, and there's no run. He's on 13, Haynes 69, 197 for 4, so 8 runs added to the overnight total, and the lead is 58 for the Bears as Higgins turns midway between disc and the patch of sawdust down below and bowls, and Bethel plays it very solidly back down the pitch to mid-on, and there's no run. Yeah, when the cloud cover was a lot darker earlier on, it looked as though it was going to be very, very helpful conditions for the Middlesex bowlers, as I know it was on day 1 when they ran through the Warwickshire first innings, just 60. As Higgins is there, and that's edged with the open face of the bat to first slip by Bethel, but it was along the ground. Ryan Higgins is getting a little bit of movement here off the pitch.
I think he's getting enough to encourage Middlesex in this innings, but it'll also worry them slightly ahead of the chase.
Yes, as he comes in again and bowls to Bethel. Bethel, everything behind that on the first bounce, Higgins fields off his own bowling.
You know, indications being that from 60 all out in the first innings, the match has got steadily easier to, the pitch has got steadily easier to bat on.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that the heavy roller had so many goes on day 1 alone in between innings. But certainly a bit out there this morning. Now you'd imagine with rain overnight, there should be. Yeah,
as Higgins is in past the umpire and bowls, and Bethel leaves that one alone outside off stump. So that's a maiden over from Ryan Higgins, 197 for 4 then, with Bethel on 13 and Hayne on 69, who's going to be on strike for the next over.
I mean, undoubtedly, you know, it's 18 balls away now, the second new ball. Bamber and Roland Jones and Helm. And Higgins again, he's bowled quite nicely this morning. He's got a couple of wickets. You know, that's really going to be the key for this game now, you feel, how that second new ball goes. If it doesn't go well for Middlesex, then Warwickshire will be looking at 200 plus. De Carey's is in, bowls, and Hayne can't quite get forward to that one, just dabs him into the onside, fielded at mid-wicket by Stoneman. Be desperate to get Middlesex off to a good start, whatever they're chasing Stoneman. De Carey's who opened with him last season, but now batting down at 8 or 9 indeed, even at times, as forward goes Hayden, works his ball almost through the legs of Robson at short leg, fielded by the backward square leg, which I think is Jack Davies, coming around. But yes, De Carey's originally an opening bat, but he's in as a spinner at the moment. Bowls now, and as he edged him, he has his gone, and look at De Carey's turn to his skipper. He runs straight to mid-off. Whatever the ploy was, or whether there was a ploy, or whether it's just, again, that enthusiasm that De Carey's always brings. He turned, having got the finger from the umpire, and he ran straight to Roland Jones at mid-off with a jig of joy. And it's a massive wicket for Middlesex. It's a massive wicket in the match. Haynes gone for 69. De Carey's again, 1 for 9 from 6.3 for the off-spinner. 197 for 5, Warwickshire.
Yeah, huge blow for the Bears. Applause for Sam Hain as he comes off, trudging off disconsolately, having taken off his left batting glove and got his blade tucked under his arm. He's not added to his overnight score, Hain, and Middlesex most definitely back in the game with a vengeance now. Barnard comes out to bat next.
That feels huge, that wicket.
Yeah,
it really does. Look at him go. He gets a bit of bounce to Carey's, doesn't he? He's no giant, he's not Ollie Rayner, but he gets that ball to bounce, and goodness me, it's a nice line and length. Hain has to play at it, and in the end he brings that bat down almost as though, well, here's a better angle. I mean, it felt to me as though he made a late decision to run the ball. He did, and he's just nicked it through to Simpson.
Yeah, just kind of slightly opened the face, didn't he, as the ball reached him.
Well, it looked like a very late decision to do so.
Yes.
He really looked as though he was caught in two minds, and at the last moment thought, well, I'm just going to run this. And he's just run it straight to the keeper's glove. Well done, Simpson, as ever.
Wicket. Now, Middlesex fielders encouraged by that, of course. Lots of shouting in the outfield. So 197 for 5, the Bears, having lost Hain for 69, Kevin.
De Carey's in again, bowls, and this is worked by Barnard through square leg, and this was another thing muted overnight as Barnard gets off the mark, first ball with that single. This feels like an Ed Barnard. It may have been Richard Wilford, I'm sure he won't mind me saying it. Or was it Phil? Somebody yesterday, from a Warwickshire perspective, certainly saying it feels like an Ed Barnard moment, this. It may well need to be. They need at least another 100, you'd think, from here.
At least, I would think.
De Carey's around the wicket, he bowls, and this ball's pushed into the onside by Bethel. 198 for 5. But as I was saying to Richard and, well, everybody that would listen throughout the match, Middlesex chasing 120, the magnitude of what the 16 points means to their season. So here's De Carey's, he bowls. This is worked up to mid-on by Bethel, and there's no run. 198 for 5. Nobody, I mean, fine over for there from De Carey's. He's picked up Haynes, and that's a massive wicket for the match, a huge wicket. For young De Carey's as well, you know, to make that difference just before the new ball, getting the main man not out overnight on 66, the lead 59. But yeah, the season that Middlesex are having, where they've only got 2 batting points all year, they've had a couple of good chases. One ended up scores level against Northamptonshire, and then that fine chase at Lords when Mullaney bravely declared in a rain-affected match to go for the 16 points, and it went against him, and he took a lot of criticism wrongly, because it was, you know, it was a fine move. It was the right move to do for the game, and it was the right move to do for Nottinghamshire, bearing in mind Middlesex's batting woes. So that's why, you know, even if they could get a lead of 120 here, Warwickshire, then I think they'll feel they have a chance.
Well, Higgins to continue as Ed Barnard takes his guard. Higgins comes in and bowls, and Barnard solidly behind that into the offside where De Carey's does the fielding, and there's no run. Yeah, Barnard got 14 in the first innings, which is actually the top score for Warwickshire in their 60 all out. Sam Hain adding just 3 to his overnight score. We're going for 69 as Higgins comes in, and that's left alone by Barnard outside the off stump. So big ask for these two. Michael Burgess coming in next. Can bat. Henry Brooks, Ollie Hannon Dolby and Mir Hamza, the remaining batsmen for the Bears. As Higgins turns again, right arm into Barnard, and he clips this away off his hip. And that'll be a comfortable single as Simpson runs from behind the stumps to do the fielding. In fact, it's signalled as a leg by the umpire. It's 199 for 5. And it's Bethel, the left-hander, surveying the field. Having a look round and then comes to the crease as Higgins moves in and bowls and played away just backward of point for no run.
Be interesting what it would do for Warwickshire season if they were able to win this match, having bowled out for 60. I mean, there's been talk of Warwickshire being title contenders, and so I said, no, this team's not going to be able to topple Surrey. Well, if they win this one, all of a sudden you've got a fair old bit of confidence, having had quite a low on that first day. It would have been quite a shock, wouldn't it, at lunch?
As Higgins is there to Bethel. Everything behind this, back down the pitch. And there's no run.
4 games to go in September, same as Middlesex. Yeah, get on a run. One of those games is Middlesex at Lords. Yes. So, you know, what would a defeat do to Middlesex this season?
Exactly.
Warwickshire go to Lords and think, well, here we go again. I think it's the second round of September, the Lords fixture. 3 away games out of the final 4 for Middlesex, and that's why, again, a win here would mean so much.
As Higgins is in and bowls, and he's bowled him. Uproots Bethel's off stump. And Higgins has struck to see the back of Jacob Bethel, and the Bears in trouble now at 199 for 6. Beautiful delivery from Ryan Higgins, and Jacob Bethel sees his off stump uprooted, and he has gone for 13, and the Bears have lost 2 wickets now this morning. The lead is just 60. They have only 4 wickets in hand at 199 for 6.
It's straightened, but I think Bethel will be really disappointed only that he hasn't managed to get something behind that. It slammed off stump out of the ground. It's not flicking it, is it? Off stump's gone cartwheeling. Upended by Higgins. And again, you have to credit the bowler though as well, don't you? It's just the persistent nature of Higgins, who he just keeps hitting top of off. The same as Bamber, not quite as quick as Bamber, doesn't quite get the same bounce or perhaps seam movement as Bamber, but he certainly gets a little bit of swing, and we saw a few, didn't we, in the previous over to Hayne from, here's a good angle actually from behind. Let's see if it does a particularly great deal off that one. It doesn't feel like it's done a lot, to be fair. So it's just a slight misjudgment by
playing down the wrong line,
by Bethel. He was. That's exactly that.
Yeah.
Here's De Carey, start of the new over. 199 for 6. The lead is 60. He bowls to Barnard, who pushes back into the offside. Burgess, the new batter, at the non-striker's end. It's going to need quite the recovery now. 4 wicket stand, a lead of just over 60. As here comes De Carey's bowls and dabbed into the onside. There's no run.
Yeah, need Michael Burgess to step up along with Ed Barnard and launch the Bears' recovery here.
De Carey's bowls, is dabbed into the onside and there's no run. Indeed, the lead is 60. The target's 61, isn't it? So the lead is 60, not just over. The target currently be 61. So, well, this is Middlesex were bowled out for 199, weren't they? So 199 for 6. At the moment, Middlesex would need to score only just fractionally more than Warwickshire scored in their own first innings. 2 run here backward of point down to deep third. Higgins retreats from slip to collect, and there is the 200 up. They get a couple. 201 for 6. Ripple of applause from around the ground. Again, 60 more runs, and they've got something to bowl at here. So this isn't over yet for Warwickshire. They'll come out gunning for it. They're missing Rushworth, of course. Mr. Garris is in, bowls, and forward goes Barnard. 201 for 6. And they'll know aside, as we were touching on a few moments ago before the fall of the Hayne wicket, I think. Middlesex are a side who've had their woes with the bat this season. So there'll be a few jitters, even chasing 120. As De Carey's bowls, forward goes Barnard, and this is dabbed into the onside. It's the end of the over. De Carey's, they've whipped it off the screen now, his scorecard. I'll have to look at it on the scorecard in front of me, but he's bowled very, very well, hasn't he? He goes for just the 2 off that over, which gives De Carey's figures of 1 for 12 from 8, which is on the stream rather helpfully, as it was whipped off the scoreboard. 201 for 6.
Well, Ed Barnard has a high score of 163 not out for Worcestershire against Notts at Trent Bridge in 2022, and Michael Burgess 178 against Surrey here last year, his highest score. And need to stick around this pair if you feel that Warwickshire are going to post a total that they can defend. And Higgins is going to continue. 15 overs, 7 maidens, 1 for 18. His figures, having removed Jacob Bethel for 13, uprooting his off stump in the previous over from the pavilion end. It's Burgess facing his first delivery, and that's played out onto the offside, and he'll quickly get off the mark with a single. Wideish mid off. 202 for 6. There's the Warwickshire score. Just a slightly blustery wind billowing the white tarpaulins, the sight screens at the far end, the Birmingham end. Here comes Higgins, and that's down leg side, and Barnard doesn't follow it. It's into the gloves of Simpson, and there's no run. The flags next to the scoreboard are blowing in all directions, so it is quite a blustery wind out there, which will hopefully help drying the pitch as well, with the sun peeping through the clouds as Higgins is there and bowls, and Barnard just drops his bat on this into the offside, and there's no run. So Middlesex with their tails up, having taken those 2 wickets this morning. Hayne for 69, Bethel for 13, De Keras and Higgins the wicket takers, as Higgins is in again, and that's left well alone by Barnard outside the off stump.
That's a nice ball, wasn't it? Good shape.
Arcing away.
Yeah. Good pace, good bounce. See, that was day 1 of this game. Well, you immediately sat up and just thought the pace and the bounce, great, but then the seam movement was the real killer for the batters. It was a much greener surface the first morning.
It's got a little darker overhead now. Some of the blue sky has been filled in by greyer clouds as Higgins is in, and that squirts away into the offside for Barnard, just backward of point. No run. 63 the lead, 4 wickets in hand for Warwickshire.
A cameo here from anybody will give Warwickshire something to bowl at. So, but the new ball, huge danger.
Higgins there and bowls, and played by Barnard to point. There's no run. 202 for 6 then at the end of that over. Ed Barnard on 3. Michael Burgess on 1.
Here he comes, Ethan Bamber, the baby-faced assassin.
Having taken 5 for 20 in just 9 overs and 2 maidens in the first innings. What a terrific match he's had.
Yeah.
And 2 for 53 from 18 overs and 5 maidens in this innings so far.
Well, it pushed him ahead of Higgins as the leading wicket taker this season for Middlesex. Higgins was leading wicket taker and leading run scorer. That was something we were starting to touch on yesterday, but I think rain delay slowed us up. The last player to be leading wicket taker and leading run scorer in the same season for Middlesex, but also for Warwickshire as well. Yeah, that takes some doing, so it probably will go a fair way back. But the last person to be leading wicket taker and leading run scorer for their county in a season. We're racking our brains as to who possibly could have done it. I mean, Jack Callis was an all-rounder for just the season with Middlesex. Could he have perhaps done it that year? Here's Bamber, he's in, bowls, and this ball's punched away, 4 runs. On the back foot, Burgess just rocked back, sat back, and picks up the boundary, 206 for 6.
And the first boundary of the day for the Bears there. A little bit of a loosener from Bamber, and dispatched for 4 runs. That's Burgess on to 5, 206 for 6. As Bamber comes in again and bowls to Burgess, and tumbling stop attempted by the fielder at point, but it escaped his grasp and was always going to race away once it had pierced the infield to the Hollies stand for another 4 runs. Successive 4s for Michael Burgess, 210 for 6. The lead now 71.
Well, Middlesex starting their charge now with the new ball bowlers coming on, but equally it can lead to runs, can't it? Back-to-back boundaries to begin. That was a little uppish, wasn't it? Which was the cry of catch it. And thank you for filling in. I was asking a question to my left. 3 slips go down. Simpson stands up. Burgess. It's bowled! Wow, look at that go. What a match Bamba's having. That's middle and leg, I think. They've splattered out of the ground. What a sight. Just off stump. Left standing on its own. And he's absolutely bombed those stumps. Goodness me. Bamba, 8 for the match now. And he is bowling like an absolute demon in this game. As emphatic a dismissal as a fast bowler could want. Middle and leg ripped out of the ground, which for Burgess will be hard to take, as a pretty straight delivery. He's just gone straight through him. Yeah. 210 for 7, Warwickshire.
Some genuine pace there from Ethan Bamba, and Michael Burgess, having taken a step forward, just looks ruefully behind his stumps as he sees them sprayed all over the place. My goodness me.
He's gone through the gate there, but there wasn't particularly a gate, was there? You often think of a gate and hitting the top of off, but he's playing at a ball. I mean, he's played the light run. He's just missed a straight one, really.
Well, he stepped across his stumps to try and defend them at the very last second, but then, it's just...
Well, he starts with such a wide stance, doesn't he? I mean, his back foot's on leg stump. His front foot is nearly as far outside leg stump as middle stump, as close to leg on the other side. So by the time that he actually plays the ball, he then falls across thereafter. But well, it just clipped a pad slightly on the way through, but goodness me, it didn't take any pace off as it did, because it's just hit perfectly. Perfectly the top of middle and leg, and both of the stumps explode in either direction. Quite the scene. A snapper would have had fun with that if they were in the right position for it. 210 for 7. Brooks awaits as Bamba on an 8 for in the match runs in. He bowls, and that's left alone through to Simpson. Well, they've just released a promising young bowler, Middlesex, called Max Harris. Bomber Harris was his name. It's Bomber Bamba at the moment, isn't it?
It certainly is, yeah. That was tremendous delivery from Ethan Bamba, and 3 for 61 now in this innings. I say 5 for 20 in the first innings, and Henry Brooks left with Ed Barnard to try and launch the Warwickshire recovery.
Bamba bowls, and this is onto the pads, falls away into the onside. There's no run. 210 for 7. Simpson's caught that as well, standing up off middle and leg, and then with the as he runs away celebrating, just to signify that he caught it as well, he just flicks away at the top of the off stump. I only noticed it from behind on the replay there. So it's exploded middle and leg, and Simpson still held on behind the stump, standing up. Extraordinary from him. Look, we can see it side on now. Grabs it, and then he just nips away at the off stump. So yeah, I got the ball as well. We'll have off stump also. Outstanding glovesmanship by Simpson as ever. 210 for 7. Here's Bamba, bowls, and forward goes. Brooks drives down the grounds. Bamba got low, tried to get his hand to it, but past him it goes, and it's a boundary, a welcome boundary. And indeed, is that a third boundary in the... Oh, was it this over that started with the 2 boundaries?
Yes, it was, yeah.
So we've had 4 for wickets, and then the boundary ends with a 4. So a bit loose there, Bamba. He's conceded 12 off that over.
Has removed Michael Burgess for just 9 in the most emphatic fashion. Henry Brooks, 84 against Kent here back in 2019 is his highest score. And it's Barnard on strike to face Higgins, who continues. He's there and bowls, and played up to mid-on by Barnard for no run.
Well, 3 wickets inside 30 minutes to start the third day. It's dream stuff for Middlesex, isn't it?
Yeah, well, most definitely. And a nightmare equally for Warwickshire in the context of this low-scoring match from their point of view. They got more than 200 on the board this time round, but only 60 in the first innings as Higgins comes in, and that's turned away off his legs for a single by Barnard. 215 for 7.
Well, in it all, there was 12 off that over, so the lead's, what, 76 now. So we're only talking about another, what, 44 runs. That gets them to that 120 mark. I said that, you know, that's anything over 150, it starts to become a little tricky. You'd think below 150, surely Middlesex should go out and chase it. So, you know, that's a long way away. You're doubling your score still. But even still, just getting towards something around 120.
Middlesex very much in the box seat as Higgins comes in and bowls, and that's left alone by Brooks as it nips over the top of the stumps through into the gloves of Jack Simpson.
We've harked back to previous matches a few times, including that Kent match where 23 wickets fell on the first day at Lord's against Middlesex in 2011. There was a Durham fixture at Chesley Street where Middlesex failed to chase. Off the top of my head, it's 117. I'm just going to look it up.
As Higgins is there, and that's played away past the square leg umpire by Brooks for just a single. He moves on to 5, 216 for 7. Doing another update for the radio in just over 10 minutes time, and then maybe bring Chloe in for a spell after midday as Higgins is there, and that's left alone by Barnard outside the off stump.
That was going to be my next thought on having completed 3 wickets in 30 minutes, that we need to think about the schedule. It's skew-ifted slightly, hasn't it? But we need to stick to the half hours because of your updates, really, don't we?
Yeah.
Rather than start mixing up the quarter 2. So apologies, Chloe and Phil, who are stats all right. I guess we're going to nick 10 more minutes between us here and maybe make a double change.
As Higgins is there, and it's left alone, but bowled. Ed Barnard, a misjudgment by Barnard, and Higgins has struck again, and that's the 8th wicket down for Warwickshire. 216 for 8, and Ed Barnard clean bowled by Ryan Higgins for 4. That's the 4th wicket in this first 35 minutes of play on day 3, and Middlesex are really going for the jugular here with the Bears on 216 for 8. They lead by just 77.
Well, they are, but we're almost back to the first morning now, aren't we? Where, you know, you had day 2 where we'd had a bit of sunshine and the pitch had dried out a bit. It had changed colour. The heavy roller had been on it a few times. Well, we've just had a pitch that's been under cover since 3:40 yesterday. The cover was still on, I think, when I first arrived this morning. I'm pretty sure it was. You know, there was certainly rain. Well, yeah, it was, because there was rain still spitting at 9 o'clock this morning. So, you know, but then the hover cover rolls to one side and the desperate attempt to dry the ground is underway. But effectively, you've had, you know, the cover on from 3:40 until 9 o'clock this morning. Thoughts will there be a delayed start? So that tells you just how damp it is. And all of a sudden, it feels as though it's put a bit of juice back into this track.
Yeah.
We talk about sweating under the covers. Obviously, it is quite humid at the moment and warm, isn't it? But it feels so much more like the first morning. And that, of course, must also enthuse the Warwickshire bowlers. They've got to scramble to get whatever they can here with the last 2 wickets. 77 the lead again. You'd even just take another 20 here and just get the lead over 100. Here's Banbury's in to Brooks. Bowls, and Brooks is forward, driving up to mid-on. A single taken. He moves to 6. Hannon Dalby, who's no mug with the bat at all for number 10. He's had some exploits over the years, hasn't he? 217 for 8. The lead is 78. Ideal world, they need at least 40 more, really. Setting 119 to win. I'll drop that. 2012 it was, if I'm getting my estimations correct. Yes, there we go. 2012 at Chesley Street. Take you through the match, which will just offer a little bit of hope to Warwickshire. Mark Stoneman was opening for Durham in that game. Ben Stokes was playing. Here's Banbury's around the wicket. He bowls outside the off stump. That's left alone. 212 for 8. So in 2012, Middlesex at Chesterley Street, it was their first year back in Division 1. Promoted as Division 2 winners in 2011. Middlesex elected to field, and they bowled Durham for 102. Yeah. Stoneman was gone for 14, a top score from 22 by Michael Richardson, Paul Collingwood, Dale Benkenstein, Ben Stokes. What a lineup. Gordon Mutchell. And up at the top, Mark Stoneman. Indeed, Chris Rushworth was the number 11. As here's Bamber bowls, and Hannon Dalby, oh, where's that on the glove? There's a bit of bounce. Now, again, this is back to day 1, where there's that bounce, there's that pace. It's just just a little bit of life again in the pitch, much as there was on the first morning. And it seems as though, you know, the rain is what's really what has really liven things up again here. But Hannah Dolby's taking a moment. They may well call for the physio just to have a look at that finger. We'll see if he runs out and has a look. Middlesex is set and ready to go, but Hannah Dolby, it's his left hand which is
not his
most
bowling
important
hand
at the moment. Rushworth came in at number 11 and scored a not out 12 as Durham bowled out for 102. Stoneman with 14. Richardson top scorer in 22. 18 for Benkenstein. 16 for Collywood. Scott Borthwick 13. Graham Onions was in that game. Callum Thorpe, what a team. But anyway, Murtagh got 3 for Finn 2. Gareth Berg 3. We're talking about good all-rounders. And Toby Rowland-Jones was the 4th bowler used then early in his career, 1 for 18. Middlesex in reply made 185, so they took an 85-run lead out of the first innings, less than 83. 59 for Chris Rogers, Darvin Milan 24, 37 Gareth Berg. Tim Murtagh 25, batting at 9 ahead of Rowland-Jones and Finn. The Durham second innings, they posted 200 with a top score of 37 from Benkenstein. No, Borthwick 41 not out. Callum Thorpe 36. Ben Stokes got 23. Stoneman 14. Rushworth 5. Stephen Finn 4 for Rowland-Jones. You're missing nothing. The Hannah Dolby injury still being looked at by the physio out there. But here's what Warwickshire fans will really want to hear. Middlesex was set 118 to win that game, and you know it had gone from 102 in the first innings to 185 in the second innings of the match to 200 in the third innings of the match. And you think, well, the pitch is settling down. Middlesex have got this. 118 to win. They were bowled for 102 with a top score of 34 from Toby Rowland-Jones, who was promoted up the order clearly as a night watchman then in that one. I mean, I remember it well. I don't remember Toby Rowland-Jones being promoted as the night watchman, but I remember the game well. Because, you know, they're one of those games that just stick vividly. That final day, you know, the shock, the fury on Chris Rogers. He was raging at it. Robson got a duck, third ball duck. Rogers got a third ball duck. Denley got 16. Milan 15. Owen Morgan got 2. John Simpson 10. It's a pretty decent batting lineup, that, wasn't it? Here's Bamber. We're well to go again. Well, Hannah Dolby is as well as can be, and he gets a solid defence on the front foot to this one from Bamber, who went full into the top of off stump as well, hoping maybe if there was a bit of bounce then it will trouble that bottom hand once more. It didn't. But yes, that the wobble that can happen when you've got a chase, and Middlesex 0 for 2 in that chase, and all of a sudden 118 looks a long way away. So similarly here, if they can scramble another 20 runs, just get 3 figures on the board for the target. Bamber around the wicket. He bowls to Hannah Dolby, and that, oh, look at the bounce on that. That climbs and takes the outside shoulder of the bat into backward point. It falls safely fine of Eskenazi coming around to a deepish gully to collect, really. Higgins charged off from third, slip as it ballooned off that near shoulder of Hannah Dolby's bat. It wasn't a short ball. It lifted off a length, really, that one, didn't it? Yeah,
it reared up at him and was able to dab it down in the sort of vacant gully area, but pain-killing spray on his left hand, Hannah Dolby.
Last ball of Bamber's over. He's hunting a 10 for here. There's 2 wickets standing, and Hannah Dolby tries to leave this one. He gets a bottom edge along the floor to a tumbling Eskenazi at backward point, who stops that one getting through. And well, I'm sure Middlesex, they'll be thinking every run at the moment. They won't want to be chasing much more than 78, the current lead. They'll be thinking, come on, bang, bang, this is over and let's get on with it. Every little run now, again, just any little partnership gets going now, a little cameo of 20 from somebody. The nerves just start jittering again. 217 for 8.
Yeah, with Higgins to continue, and why wouldn't he? He's taken 2 wickets already today. Moving Bethel for 13, Barnard for 4. On this pavilion end, 2 for 21 from his 17 over 7 maidens. He's in and bowls to Henry Brooks, and Brooks just pushes this back down the pitch where Ryan Higgins half stops it and then picks it up at the second time of asking. So 78 only is the Bears' lead here. 2 wickets only in hand, as well as Higgins is in and bowls, and that's flashed away. Risky stroke from Brooks, but it flashes away through the vacant third man area for 4 runs. 221 for 8 takes the lead up to 82, and Brooks on to 10.
They're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't at the moment, this pair, aren't they? If they dig in and they're bowled out and they've added 5 runs in 15 minutes, then, but if they throw the bat and all of a sudden have crashed 3 boundaries, a couple off an edge and a couple off an inside edge, and all of a sudden the lead's 20 in 5 minutes. You know, what do they do? Gully's gone a little bit wider for another flashing drive from Brooks that may go that way, or it's third slip that moves to Gully.
As Higgins comes in again and bowls, and Brooks just plays this to mid-wicket for no run. But if you, gust of wind, sorry Kevin, I was just going to say, a little gust of wind took the top of that pile of sawdust off at the pavilion end.
Made a right mess, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Can they put a bit of it down there and cover the mud patch?
As Higgins back at his mark, in search of a third wicket today already, is in, and that's very full delivery, which Brooks does well to get his bat on. Just dabs it down in front of him.
So I was trying to weigh it up in my mind. What do they do here? If you're the Warwickshire captain and you're sat there and you're looking at it, 221 for 8, 2 wickets standing. The ball's doing a bit again this morning. They've got a second new ball in hand, and they're full of confidence. These bowlers now, every single one of them, Helm, Roland Jones, they'll be desperate to get into the attack.
As Higgins is there again and bowls to Brooks, and Brooks plays this out to point where it's fielded and there's no run.
This could be done in 2 deliveries right now.
Yes.
So do you chance your arm and counter? Helm's warming up down at deep backward square leg. Might be a little bit optimistic. Bamber's looking for a 10 for here, isn't he?
He is.
Roland Jones yet to bowl as well. He bowled beautifully in the first innings.
Higgins the man of the moment just now though, and Brooks has given that the big heave-ho, and he's launched that. It's ended up going down to third man. That wasn't where he was playing it at all, but he's thrown the bat at that, got 4 runs, takes him on to 14, and at the end of the over, 225 for 8 Warwickshire, the lead 86.
And I'm quite at ease with it. That I think is a point. There's 8 off the over there, and yeah, all right, there's 2 flying edges, but he could have just blocked those, and in those blocks, ball might have seemed slightly taken an edge, come back through the gate. So, you know, I think the risk reward at the moment for Warwickshire is clear. Be sensible about it. Don't just swing at everything. I mean, Hamza will swing, won't he? We saw that in the first innings. Goodness me, he'll be practicing the swing downstairs somewhere at the moment, limbering up. He'll have one thing in mind when he gets out there. Here's Bamber, 8 in the match, start of a new over, around the wicket, in the sun at Edgbaston. He bowls, and a good stride for Hannon Dalby, pushes back to mid-off, and there's no run. 225 for 8. So yes, I think my mind is set. They're not damned if they do, damned if they don't. I think they've got to get on with it here. I think they've got to absolutely go at it and see what they can claim, because this second new ball's going to get them, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it certainly will. So relying on your number 9 and 10 to give it a go. At least try and make the total 3 figures to defend.
Bamber around the wicket again, left alone by Hannon Dalby. Resisted. There's 3 slips there. It's a long boundary through the offside for the left-hander, but there's only well, De Carey's in the covers really. Quite a fine backward point, almost a deep gully in position as well, which I think was well, it's Martin Anderson now. It was Eskenazi. That's why I was hesitating for a moment. Hopefully Eskenazi's all right. Middlesex. Well, they won't need too many of their batters chasing this, but they'll want them all available if required. Eskenazi missing the last match with a finger injury. As Bamber's around the wicket again, he bowls, and that's edged but along the floor, and a parrying stop. Goodness me. He pawed at that, didn't he, as it bounced up nastily towards his face, actually, Higgins. He rolled to his left, and I think he got both hands onto it, and it wasn't his face, because it was heading that way as it bounced up in front of him. He's done very well, because, again, you know, he's as such probably saved a boundary there.
He has, definitely. It was a piece of sharp fielding by Higgins. Third slip.
This will be my last over. I'll make way for whoever's ready to my left, and then you've got your updates to do at 12 as well. As his Banbury's in, bowls outside of the off stump, and through it goes to the keeper, left alone. Helm's really going through all of the warm-up, so what end they're going to throw? Maybe Helm will come on at the pavilion end. I can't imagine he'd take the ball out of Bamber's hand at the moment. 3 for 66 from 20.4 and 5 for in the first innings. His best bowling in an innings now, his best bowling in his match. I'll fall silent after this next delivery. WM will be with us to hear of the latest carnage here at Edgbaston. Well, that first day was fun for Richard Wilford, as his Bamber bowls him! Middle and off, top of middle and off, hit again. Off stumps out of the ground, middle stumps rocked back like fingers crossed. Behind leg stump it is, so it'll be fingers crossed for Warwickshire when they head out there with the ball in a moment. They've got a lot to do. 225 for 9.
And this is Rob Gurney at Edgbaston, where Warwickshire have just lost their 5th wicket of the morning here against Middlesex to be on 225 for 9. Sam Hain was caught at the wicket by John Simpson off Josh DeCaris for 69, adding just 3 to his overnight total. A late decision to open the face of the bat did for Hain. Then Jacob Bethel added off-stump removed by Ryan Higgins when he'd made 13. Michael Burgess's stumps were splayed by Ethan Bamber when he'd made just 9. And Ed Barnard left one by Higgins and clipped his off-stump for 4. Ollie Hannon-Dolby has just been comprehensively bowled by Ethan Bamber for a duck, and the Middlesex seamer has 9 wickets now in the match, and Mia Hamza comes out to join Henry Brooks. Brooks on 14, Hamza the last man, and the Warwickshire lead is only 86 with just 2 wickets remaining here. The Bears are 225 for 9 second time around.
Rob, forgive me. Either my timing was perfect or just slightly off, but either way, forgive me, because you were on the edge of your seat there.
Okay, no, that's
I thought
fine.
we had more time. Were they a little early in their news bulletin there? It felt like they came to you early.
They may well have been, although, yeah, slightly distracted by trying to look at my watch and describe the Ollie Hannon-Dolby dismissal in that report at the same time. But yeah, 225 for 9 and 1 ball left in this Ethan Bamber over.
Well, I thought I was doing this over and getting out of the way, and you do your report and someone else says sorry.
It's all right.
225 for 9. Here's Bamber, 9 for in the match, and he bowls to Hamza full straight, and a big appeal for LBW, not out. So no 10 for Bamber, well, not yet anyway. 225 for 9 it is. Brooks has 14, Hamza has 0. I think the fun's really going to begin now because Hamza's certainly going to swing for it, so Brooks may as well. The lead is 80... Oh, what is it now?
86.
86 it is.
Yeah.
Well, it shouldn't be enough. But again, I hark back to 2012 in Durham, when Middlesex were bowled for 102 in a low scorer, as it looked as though, you know, the scores are climbing, well, they were climbing across the first 3 innings, and then on the 4th, Middlesex were bowled quite cheaply. So, well, Rob will take you through this over. I'll get out of the way, and either Chloe or Phil will sit down for what should be a fascinating end to this innings and a start to the Middlesex.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. I'll move aside when Ryan Higgins has completed this over as well, because it might be the end of the Bears' second innings full stop here. Who knows? It's Brooks that plays the first delivery up to mid-on, and there's no run. Higgins just drying the ball on the front of his shirt, and Higgins is there, and a big Yahoo attempted there by Henry Brooks, but thankfully for him, doesn't get any bat on it as it goes through to John Simpson behind the stumps. 225 for 9. Chloe Brewer with us. Chloe, good afternoon.
Afternoon. It's a very nice day at Edgbaston. Not a very nice day for Warwickshire, however.
No, it's very much Middlesex's day so far, as that's a full toss from Higgins, but he picks out the fielder in front of the Hollis stand, just backwards of square on the onside. That's Tom Helm, just a single. Brooks on to 15. 226 for 9, so 5 wickets going down in what, 45 minutes, the first 45 minutes of play, Chloe.
Yeah, it's just been a ridiculous morning. This is why we watch cricket. You can't predict this at all, can you? You can't turn up this morning and think, oh, actually, yeah, they will lose that many wickets this morning. It's just insane.
Well, the Bears bowled out for 60, of course, first time around here, as left-handed Mia Hamza gets everything behind that next delivery from Higgins, who now has 2 for 30 from his 18.4 overs and 7 maidens. Old Jacob Bethel for 13 and Ed Barnard for 4. DeCaris claiming the wicket of Sam Hain for 69, and Ethan Bamber picking up 2 wickets as well, and that's a play and a miss from Hamza outside the off stump as it zips through into Simpson's gloves. So I've been saying with Kevin, Chloe, Warwickshire are going to do very well to push the Middlesex target into 3 figures, the way things look at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll currently they're struggling a wee bit to get there.
As Higgins is there, and again, Hamza very circumspect, plays it back down the pitch, and Higgins does the fielding off his own bowling. So that's the end of the over. 87, only the lead at 226 for 9. Those of you tuning in late, Warwickshire resuming on 189 for 4, with Hayne on 66, Bethel 9, but Hayne was caught Simpson off to Keras 69, Bethel bowled Higgins 13, Burgess bowled Bamber 9, Barnard bowled Higgins 4, and Hannon Dolby bowled Bamber for a duck. And it's Henry Brooks on strike as Ethan Bamber looking for his 10th wicket, Chloe, at the Birmingham end.
Yeah, he's coming into bowl bumper, and he's pulled that into the leg side, and that will find the boundary. This is what Warwickshire need. They've got 1 wicket left in hand. They just need to get some runs on the board now to be able to have a go at bowling out for Middlesex. Batters here.
That was a reasonable pull by Henry Brooks. Takes him on to 19 from 16 deliveries.
Yeah, that's what you need, isn't it? In Bamber comes again from the city, and that's just on a length, driven off the back foot. He's quite a tall man, isn't he? Brooks just looking from his stature. I'm not too sure. I'm just guessing, but
no, he's 6 foot plus, 6'1", 6'2", something like that. As I say, has a high score of 84 in Red Bull cricket.
That would be an absolute delight right now for Warwickshire.
Well, if him and Hansa can hang around for that long, it would be a result.
Bamber again, full of length, defended by Brooks there. Bamber's really steaming in. He's really having the game of his life, isn't he? He's taken 9 wickets, performance best, so really having a good game here. You can see he's got fire in his belly when he's running in.
Yeah, 5 for 20 in the first innings and 4 for 70 this time round. 6-3 actually, Henry Brooks, having double checked.
Bamber again on a length, that's driven into the leg side there by Brooks there, just rotating the strike. One run closer to the 3-figure mark.
Yeah, so 92 is the lead now for Warwickshire at 231 for 9. But 5 wickets in the first 45 minutes of play for Middlesex has turned this match, you would think, decisively in their favour. Unless the Warwickshire bowlers, when it comes to their turn, can get as much out of this pitch as the Middlesex ones have today.
Bamber on a length, defended by Hamza there, just losing his balance a little bit there. As Bamber's returning to the top of his mark. Yeah, we were just saying how the pitch, I obviously wasn't here yesterday, but the pitch lost a bit. It was just not doing as much, but just for rain, you can see that green on the pitch now. It's just a little bit more colour, a little bit more life, and we've seen a bit of extra bouncing and nibbling around as Bamber is coming in, right arm round this time outside. Oh, Hamza's just gone fishing there a little bit, but that brings the end of the over. Warwickshire at 231 for 9. We lead by 91, I believe.
Yeah, with Henry Brooks on 20 and Mir Hamza yet to get off the mark. We'll bring Phil Britt in at the next change of ends. Tom Helm is going to bowl here from the pavilion end. The first time that we've seen him so far today. He's bowled 20 overs, 5 maidens, 2 for 57. And it's his responsibility at the moment to try and see off this last wicket.
Yeah, I think we've just shouted for a stem guard. It looks like Hamza hasn't got one on his helmet, so obviously now you need one on the back of your lid. So, and it is a rule, you can't bat without it. So I think he's just called for one.
Yeah, so that's why we've got the pause in the action. emerging from the dressing room with the piece of equipment that is required. But Middlesex, terrific form today, as Chloe's been saying. Perhaps the rain since yesterday afternoon has had a bit of an impact here, and quite a lot of cloud cover as well at times in this first hour, but blue sky overhead now, but a lot of grey stuff will have helped the Middlesex bowlers along the way. As I say, 5 wickets they've taken today and put them very much in the driving seat for the 16 points for the win. Looking forward to the 100, of course, which starts very soon, Chloe.
Yeah.
Very different to red ball cricket, obviously.
It's quite going from 0 to 100 there, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. Good fun. Sure, hopefully this rain stays away, though. We've had an awful summer for the weather.
I was going to say, it's not been great, has it? Have you enjoyed your cricket, though, so far this summer?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a big move, so I came up from South East Stars this year.
Mm.
So girls have been, it's been good fun. Good fun. Yeah, it's a good atmosphere up here. I remember, what was it, T20s. So I've never been to a T20 game here before.
Really?
Yeah, no, I was just down south, so I just
Yeah, so you never got the
came up.
opportunity, no.
And I tell you what, the Holly stand, I've never heard anything like it.
Yeah, well, yes, you can hear all sorts of legendary tales about the Holly stand, but until you've actually experienced it in person, it's quite something.
It's crazy.
It is, well, I think the most passionate place to watch cricket in this country.
Definitely.
It treads a tightrope some of the time, the atmosphere. But anyway, Hamza has been repaired in terms of his helmet, and Helm comes in and bowls, and Brooks just plays this square of the wicket on the onside, and there's no run. So we've had pretty much an hour's play now. 231 for 9. Warwickshire from 189 for 4. Slightly delayed start while mopping up operations took place on the outfield after the heavy rain from tea time yesterday onwards, as Helm, right arm, is in again and bowls to Brooks solidly behind that up to mid-off, and there's no run.
What score would you like Warwickshire to get to? That's
well, I mean, I think the first benchmark has to be 3 figures, I think, Chloe. As I said just now, you know, anything north of 100 gives you a glimmer. I mean, if they could, in this last wicket, somehow get it to 150, that'd be fantastic, but it looks unlikely, as Helm is there again, and Brooks, it's plenty behind this, but it is fielded just in front of the point boundary by Josh De Keres for just 1 run. 21 to Henry Brooks, 232 for 9, so the lead moves up to 93. And Helm, slightly longer run up than Higgins before him, just 2 or 3 paces past the pile of sawdust at the pavilion end. He's in to the left-handed Mir Hamza and comprehensively bowls him. And Tom Helm takes the final wicket of the Warwickshire innings. They are all out for 232, which means that Middlesex require only 94 to win. And it's been very much Middlesex's morning. About an hour to get rid of the last 6 Warwickshire wickets, resuming at 189 for 4. They're all out for 232. and 32, with Henry Brooks left not out on 21. But Middlesex will need 94 to win shortly. And you would have thought that this is their match to lose now, Chloe Brewer, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Middlesex, what a display. First of all, they've just ripped through the Warwickshire batting order without any mercy, so hats off to them, really. But Warwickshire have some runs. You never know with cricket. They got bowled out for 60 in the first innings, so they've just got to put a lot of hard work in, but yeah, Middlesex have done well there. It is, as you said, it is theirs to lose.
Yeah, applause reserved there for Ethan Bamber, as he's applauded into the pavilion, finishing with 4 for 71, match figures of 9 for 91, which is a terrific effort from him, Chloe, isn't it?
Absolutely, this is one to remember for him, isn't it?
Certainly is. Well, the Bears bowlers, likes of Hannon Dolby, Mir Hamza, Henry Brooks, maybe Ed Barnard as well, with it all to do with Middlesex bowling Warwickshire out for 232 in their second innings, leaving Middlesex to score just 94 runs to win here on the third day. We'll take a pause between the innings, and then when we come back, Phil Britt will join Chloe Brewer to pick up commentary.
Well, welcome back to Edgbaston with the players coming back onto the field, the Warwickshire players. Warwickshire this morning have been bowled out for 232 about 5 minutes ago, losing 6 wickets this morning for the addition of just 44 runs, and the target is 94 for Middlesex to complete a victory. One thing which is for sure, time is not an issue. We've still got a day and 2 full sessions, and probably about 40 minutes of this morning session for Middlesex to do it. Warwick shall be hoping to make early breakthroughs and continue. Strange game how we had 22 wickets on the opening day. Yesterday, on a shortened day, play finishing at tea time yesterday, so we had 2 full sessions, just the 2 wickets falling and the wicket looking completely benign. But back this morning, and it looked again just similar to the way the wicket had played on the opening day. But full credit to the Middlesex bowlers. Bamber finishing with 4 for 71, Helber 3 for 58, Higgins 2 for 30, and De Kerr's getting the important wicket of Hayne this morning, getting him out for 69. And after Hayne had gone, Warwickshire fell away rapidly, and their wickets, they went from 197 for 4 to 232 all out. Hannon Dolby has the first the new of the innings, and he bowls to Robson, who turns it away behind square on the onside. They get through for a single, so he's on his way, and with this very small target of 94, Middlesex are 1 without loss, and I'm joined by Chloe Brewer, who strange morning's cricket from a Warwickshire point of view, isn't it? And superb from Middlesex seamers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a good morning to be a Warwickshire fan, that's for sure. However, they're bowling on the same pitch as Middlesex have been, so it's
terrific number of batsmen who were clean bowled. Is Hannon Dolby in bowls from the Birmingham end. Mark Stoneman has a flickered ball outside the off stump, wide outside the off stump, and he doesn't have no foot movement. He just sort of tries to pull it towards mid wicket, but he didn't move, and it was more of a flick shot, and he was well inside the line of the ball, and went through to the keeper.
Yeah, that was flashed hard at that one, to say the least.
Hannon Dolby in again and bowls, and Stoneman is up on his toes, playing it back down the wicket. Hannon Dolby can't stop it cleanly. And the ball goes out to Henry Brooks, who comes running in from extra cover. Just to update you on the test match, which the 5th test, England lost the toss and were put in by Australia. Made a terrific start with Duckett and Crawley putting on 62 in 12 overs before Duckett was caught down the leg side off Marsh, and then Crawley was caught by Smith of Cummins. This one is played into the offside by Stoneman. There's no run, so that was 62 for 1, 66 for 2. Only 4 deliveries between the 2 wickets, and then Joe Root played on from Hazelwood for 5, and England had slipped from 62 for no wicket to 73 for 3, which is, they have moved on subsequently to 83. So Moeen Ali and Brooke are at the wicket now here at Edgbaston. Hannon Dolby is in as this one is driven by Stoneman but into the ground and fielded at mid-off. Davis, there's no run.
I was going to say about your contributing to the old Aussie wicket taking there. We were sat.
Yeah, well, we were. Yeah, I was with Chloe and I was sat when Rob was on with Kevin, and I said, Look, 62 for no wicket. So this is just the sort of point where these two, generally one of them gets out. The very next ball, Duckett was gloved down the leg side. I thought, but it had nothing to do with me. This next one, Stoneman turns to the legs on the side and is called quickly through for the run, which they complete as Hamza comes running in, but by the time he's got it and steadied himself, they've completed this run. So 2 off the first over, and this very small total they're chasing down is reduced down to 92.
Yeah, there we go. It's 92 to win here.
Elsewhere, I'm just going to update you on the in Division 1. Essex require 44 more runs to beat Hampshire at the Ageas Bowl. They got 8 wickets. They've lost a couple of wickets chasing, but they only need 44 with 8 wickets remaining. So they look as though they're moving towards a victory. And in the other game, Somerset have just started batting. They're 15 for 1 in their second innings, trail Surrey by 183.
Hamza's first ball outside, cut away, but point comes round to collect it. We were tempted by a single there, but no run, a dot ball to start Hamza's over.
Played down into the ground there. It's raining for the Lancashire game, which I'm just checking. That is at Old Trafford. It's raining still at Old Trafford. They've had some rain up there in the last few days.
Hamza full of a lamp, defended there by Stoneman to cover, who comes round to pick it up.
Yeah, Lancashire 121 for 1 there in reply to Northampton's 342, so that game being held up. And Notts 350 all out. Kent 152 for 3 in reply, so some work still to be done there by both sides to force a victory.
Hamza running in, left arm over on a left, defended by Stoneman again there, picked up by cover, almost a carbon copy of a ball before that one.
Must be a beauty of a track at Derby, where Glamorgan having made 521 for 8, Derbyshire are 149 without loss in reply, so 670 runs for 8 wickets. And, hard to see how they're going to force a result there. And they're delayed at Scarborough, where Yorkshire are playing Durham.
Hamza outside, off there, just defended. Stoneman's just pulled his hands away from that one. He just didn't want to get close to that.
The last game, just to update you on, Worcester, this is at Cheltenham College, where Gloucestershire are part of the Cheltenham Festival there. They're playing Worcestershire, who are 368 for 8, with D'Oliveira 87 not out. And that's brought you up to date with all of the cricket, international and domestic, in this country.
Hamza on a length again, defended by Stoneman there. It's just played to mid-wicket there, who picks it up. And just sending it back around. It seems like quite a mix. It's either loads of runs across the board or barely any.
Yeah. The Essex game against Hampshire has got similarities to this one. It's in terms of low scores, plenty of wickets.
Hamza again on a length, defended by Stoneman there. Very good over for the second over. Maiden from it, so Middlesex remain on 2 for none. 92 runs to win.
The crowd, they say, is, well, I suppose it's fair to say, they weren't entirely sure what sort of day they were going to get today, but it's probably down on the opening 2 days. It's never great, the crowd at the county games, as most people know, but there's a smattering of people rather than a sort of decent gathering. As Hannon Dolby starts his second over from the Birmingham end, comes charging into Bolton Robson, who is up on his toes, just playing it down into backward point area. It's fielded by Barnard. There's no run. He throws the ball onto his captain, Will Rhodes, who must be a bit disappointed with the way some of his team got out. I think 10 during the course of the match, 10 of the Warwickshire wickets were bowled, clean bowled, which is quite a lot in terms of numbers on that. This one outside the off stump, and there's no run. Yeah, 5 in the first, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the second. And 5 today, in actual fact. 5 of the wickets. The only one today which wasn't clean bowled was Hayne, who was nicked one through off the spinner. So 2 for no wicket, as require 92 more runs. I think we're set fire with the weather today. It was a lot of overnight rain. That's just caused the delay as they mopped up. Robson plays this one again down to backward point. Again, Barnard does the fielding. There's no run. Very heavy the rain here last night. Through from yesterday afternoon, it rained pretty much through the night, and it was it really throwing it down at 6, 7 o'clock last night. And I gathered, I don't live in Birmingham, but I gather it was, you could see when I arrived this morning, the puddles and everything. They'd obviously had a fair bit, and patches of the outfield had to be mopped up. Hannah Dolby in bowls, and Robson drives but doesn't time it, and plays it into the ground, and Rhodes does the fielding. A wide-ish mid-off, it's more of like a mid-off extra cover sort of position he's taken. So if Robson were to drive straight, there's quite a gap between the bowler as he follows through and Rhodes up to sort of the long off boundary. That's the target he might be looking at. 3 slips in place. There's no gully. There's the backward point. There's a short leg who waits as Hannah Dolby's in, and he nicks at that and gets an edge. No, he doesn't. All the slip cordon and wicket keeper and bowler were. I think the bowler joined in after. Do you agree? The bowler sort of followed suit. Wasn't a convincing. No. But Rob Bailey at the Birmingham end, the umpire, had no interest whatsoever.
No, keeper and slip cordon were off there. No, we're celebrating.
Not to be. Robson survives as Hannah Dolby comes into him again and bowls. And this is rising and through to the keeper, but not seeing that bounce which the Middlesex seamers were getting this morning from that end. Anyway, it survives. A maiden over. It's 2 without loss.
Yeah, I really just need to. Well, I lost my train of thought. That's really not good.
They've just got to stick to the job, really.
Yeah,
They've got to stick at it. They've got to keep that line. The important thing is they keep that line. That's where I think Middlesex have really prospered. They've bowled at the stumps beautifully, but by the very nature they've hit them so many times.
Hamza on a length, defended 2 cover there. Yeah, that was it. There was no loose deliveries from Middlesex, were there? No. They just kept on hitting that line and length relentlessly, really.
One thing which was noticeable when you watched Warwickshire bowling in the first innings against Middlesex was they were giving a lot more width. They were giving the Middlesex batsmen opportunity to leave a lot of deliveries. Very few deliveries this morning that the Warwickshire batsmen didn't have to play. And I thought as a unit they bowled superbly in the whole game.
Hamza just short of length. That's cut away by Stoneman there. He hasn't hit that hard, but it is 4 runs added to the total. They move on to 6 for no loss.
He fended a ball outside the off stump, and really it was sort of steered away through that vacant gap between, which is really the sort of gully area. There's 3 slips on the backward point, and he just used the rising ball outside the off stump, got over the top of it, opened the face of the bat and guided it away. And once it beats the infield, with any sort of pace on it, it runs down the slope towards that boundary, just down to the side of the Thwaite scoreboard.
Hamza running in left on over, same as one before. He's just cut this past third slip there, and that's another 4 added to the total. He started off with his areas really, really well because he was bowling middle and off, but now he's just...
He was tighter with that one. It tucked up Stoneman a bit more, so he actually, rather than going wide and opening the face, he was tucked up with his elbow and pulled it just off his chest and opened the face, and it flew. But net result, same sort of area, but another boundary. And when you've only got 94 runs to play with, that's a big chunk of it in 2 deliveries.
We've just moved first slip slightly wider now, gully region, as Hamza's in it again, driven by Stoneman, who finds mid-off. That was a much better line there. You just need to bowl at the stumps, really. Cricket is a very simple game. Bowl at the stumps.
But have you ever seen a bowl out?
I haven't.
Right, well, when you see a bowl out, fortunately, it doesn't happen very often. It's the very last way they can get some competitions decided that they go to a bowl out.
Okay.
And the safest place to stand sometimes is right in front of the stumps.
Hamza again full of left defended there by Stoneman to point.
I've seen a couple over the years, and you see the bowlers run in, and I never quite understand why the bowlers don't come in off 1 or 2 paces and for the bowlers and just basically turn the arm over, but just aim at the stumps. They come charging in off their full run up, and the ball flies. I saw this by I won't mention it because it would embarrass them, but one of Warwickshire's main bowlers from some years ago, he put about 5 deliveries nearly a yard over the top of the stumps.
Hamza again just short of length. It's just found the inside edge there, squatted towards square leg, and that brings the end of the over. So Middlesex are 11 for none.
Good over that one for Middlesex. 9 runs from it, all to Stoneman, 2 boundaries, and then he retains the strike with that single off the last ball. And they just require 83 more for victory. A really, really important victory for Middlesex. They went into this stage round of games in the bottom 2, admittedly with a game in hand on Kent, but this will lift them, and they'll be looking then at the Kent result, where that one at the moment is Kent 157 for 3 in reply to Nottinghamshire's 350, and there's a lot there in that game required to get a result. So this could be a very important match. Still having that game in hand for Middlesex as Hannon Dolby starts his 3rd over from the Birmingham end. He's in and bowls, and this is turned by Stoneman just behind square on the onside. Hanson does the fielding, but can't prevent Stoneman getting through for another single. And Middlesex move on to 12 without loss, and 11 of them to Stoneman, 1 to Robson. They just need a further 82 for victory. One thing we don't even have to think about is the number of overs remaining in the day or time. That's not a factor. It's Hannah Dolby comes in, bowls, and Robson is looking to play that one away into the onside, but actually in the end gets a bit squared up and it goes out into the offside through to the covers, and there's no run.
Yep. Hannah Dolby's bowling really well. He's just hitting that line and length, as we say, and that's just going to be the essential here for Warwickshire. It's just hitting that lines and lengths, giving Middlesex nothing and making the remaining 82 runs hard to get, really.
This is the sort of situation where Warwickshire would dearly love to have had Chris Rushworth available for them throughout the whole of this game. Hannah Dolby in, bowls. This one is cut away through Barnard's hands at point. They're going to come back on the misfield for a second run. Probably should have been cut off in the first place, but hit hard. And Mark Stoneman dropped one of his gloves in whilst he was running through. He must have had one of the gloves in his hand, must have because he was lying in the middle of the wicket. So 2 more to the total, 14 for no wicket. Robson moves on to 3, 11 to Stoneman, and just 80 runs required. And Dolby comes in again. Robson waits, drives, but only up to mid-on. There's no run, and so does the fielding. So you report for duty on Saturday, is it, for the 100 for the Phoenix?
Yeah, so we start training on Saturday, so...
Right. Where are you training? Where's your... Here at Edgbaston, so you're based here, are you?
Yeah, so...
Is that indoor nets? Is that in the nets, or is that outside on the...
Should be outside. I should imagine we'll be on a nursery.
On the nursery ground. Sorry, nursery ground, I call it the Colts ground.
Oh, yeah.
And Dolby in. This is clipped nicely away through mid-wicket by Robson. That's got the legs. It's getting up to the boundary, just being pulled up inside, but not before they get back for 3 more runs. So runs coming a bit too easily from Warwickshire's point of view here. Middlesex moved to 17 without loss. Robson moves on to 6. And 94 was the original total, so there's just 77 required.
Yeah, I think when it gets to this situation, you just need to be good and be consistent at being boring. Well, not boring, but you just need to hit that lines and lamps and really make Middlesex work for runs.
And Dolby comes into him and bowls, and this is turned away, fine, down to deep backward square leg for a single. That will, again, Stoneman will keep the strike. So 18 without loss, and so far so good from a Middlesex point of view. I have to say that I can't think of anything which so far has really troubled them too much. They seem to have batted without any major concerns. There's been nothing leap up at them, nothing wobble too much, and they've just gone along and just accumulated in the 5 overs very comfortably.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good game to be a Middlesex fan. Sure. So they have gone very well. As Hamza's in again, it's just flicked his hands through. It wasn't even that wide, but he's just managed to cut that away to the offside boundary. So that'll be another 4 runs added to the total.
Well, that's 3 shots now which have gone in a sort of about a 20-yard arc. All of them short outside the off stump, which have been treated in various ways. One was sort of played tight off the body, one was played with an open face, and that one was cut away viciously. And but you've got to say, too much width for really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just
all of them.
Hamza again, that's just beating the outside edge. I think that's what he's looking for, but if it gets its tiny margins, isn't it? You get that a couple centimetres further away, and that's been cut away, and that's another boundary. So I can see where he's going with it, trying to use his slip cordon, but
just wonder whether he needs to be a little bit fuller to him. He's just giving that little bit short, which is allowing him to go through with that cut shot. So.
Yeah, Hamza again, full of a length. That's a better line of length. Defended there by Stoneman. That's where he started off his first over, was bowling that heavy length, which has to be defended on a good off-stump line. Because a batter, you can't really do too much with that delivery.
No, he's that's the line. He's got to hope that, as a lot of the Warwickshire batsmen do, that if you're bowling that line, if they miss, you hit, and that's what happened with the Middlesex bowlers.
Hamza outside, just played there, just beating the outside edge again. A slightly wider, but it was a fuller length, so got Stoneman on the front foot.
I think it's the fuller length which is needed. Middlesex bowled a pretty good full length, and a testimony is 10 people being bowled, but that shorter one just allows, and given the width, it's just allowing them be able to cut them away, and they've taken full advantage and played the shots really well.
Absolutely. Hamza running in just on that good line and length there. There we go. He's then defended a dot ball for Stoneman there.
Well, we've got about 10 minutes to go before lunch, and this has been a good start for Middlesex. They've got it down to 72 more runs required. 20 more minutes. Warwickshire really will need, if they're going to have anything hope in this game, they're going to need to start taking wickets.
Hamza again, short outside off, deep point, collects it. That brings the end of the over. Another rotation of strike there. So Middlesex are 23 for none. They require 71 to win.
Again, that one from Hamza allowed Stoneman to really pick it comfortably, a shorter ball outside the off stump. He cut it away. There's a man now placed down there, and this time he actually hit it straight at him. But again, it was much too easy for runs. When you haven't got many to play with, you can't give them those nice, easy singles to be able to pick up. You've got to make them work for every single run, and so far it's not been the case. It's 23 without loss as Hannah Dolby again starts his fourth over. He's in to Stoneman, who tries to pull this one away through mid-wicket. In the end, the ball comes off the inside edge down onto his boot and drops down safely from his point of view in front of him. Slips, comes running round to do the fielding and the tidying up. There's no run. It was Jacob Bethel who came round to do that. He's at third slip. Yates is at slip. Hayne at second slip, and then third slip is Bethel as Alan Dolby in bowls. This one is run away to point, where Barnard does the fielding and there's no run. So again, with only so few runs to play with, Warwickshire have got to attack. And the trouble is, when you're attacking like this, you can't defend boundaries.
Yeah.
So they've got to try and get wickets. Putting 2 or 3 men out, that's going to achieve nothing at all. They've got to try and put some pressure on the Middlesex batsmen. It does give them the opportunity that once they've beaten this infield, they're going to pick up runs. And it's a difficult one for Will Rhodes. Hannah Dolby is in and bowls. That's a lovely delivery. That brings Stoneman playing at a ball which is getting a little bit of extra bounce and moving away from him outside the off stump and through to the keeper. No run.
Yeah, this position for Warwickshire is definitely a double-edged sword, isn't it? You have to attack, but don't have that much protection at all, because you have to, otherwise the runs are just going to come so easily.
But there's not been much to cheer if you're a Warwickshire supporter this morning. It's been a bit doom and gloom, I'm afraid. 23 for no wicket. Hannah Dolby in, and Stoneman hits this in the air over the top of Alex Davis, who's running back and just gets a hand to it, can't hold on to it. It was a fine effort as he ran back from mid-off, a deepish mid-off, but running back, and all the time the ball never quite hit fully by Stoneman. It was up, towering in the air, and initially it looked like it was going to go well over him, but a terrific effort. And he's probably just in the process of throwing himself and stretching, has knocked the wind out of himself. He's not getting a lot of sympathy from anybody. And I think he got a hand to that.
Yeah, I think he did actually. That was an incredible effort.
Yeah.
Those are one of the hardest catches to do. Even Judge's right, because catching over your shoulder isn't even easy in itself, but especially one of those catches, diving effort is top class.
Yeah, he got a single, Stoneman. Ooh, and this next one from Hannah Dolby. Robson digs out and runs away up to Rhodes at mid-off. There's no run. So I thought they might have got back for 2, but in the end they settled for the 1. So he's moved on to 18, Stoneman, 6 to Robson, 24 for the wicket, just 70 more runs required. So if you're thinking of coming along today to the cricket, I would suggest, unless you live just over the road, it probably isn't going to be worth it. As Hannah Dolby comes in and bowls and is driven. And nice looking shot. That could run all the way up to the ropes from Robson. Yes, it's going to cross the ropes now. Lovely straight drive. Hannah Dolby tried to get to it. Davies tried to get to it. Both of them unable to stop it. It goes through. Robson moves into double figures. He's on 10 now. 28 for no wicket after 7 overs. So Middlesex are going along very nicely and well on their way to completing a very well-deserved victory. I think it would be churlish to say anything else, to be honest, in this game. They've played extremely well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the first change. Hamza is replaced by Brooks, who's having pretty much the same field, except from deep point comes up and he's got someone on a fine leg and deep square. As he's at the top of his mark, he's bowling right arm over to the left-handed batter, who's full of length Yorker to start his over. As Stoneman's
I'm going to make way
well
for Rob, who's got a news update to do, so I'll make way for him. You carry on with the over, Chloe, okay?
I think we might have the old double change in a minute. Okay, playing musical chairs in a commentary box as Brooks runs in for his second ball of the over. And there we go, he's clear now. He's searching about the Yorker length. That was just on that white line as I am rejoined.
Yes, Chloe, just watching a lot of what's been going on while you and Phil were chatting, and very few, if any, alarms for these two. There was just that one sort of skied, very difficult chance for Alex Davis, albeit that he's obviously got the wicket-keeping gloves on to get to before it hit the deck in the previous over. But yeah, it's fairly imperious progress by these Middlesex openers on their way to just the 94 to win. Two umpires are in consultation about it, just checking on the shape and condition of the ball, I think, before deciding whether to resume.
Yeah, too
This
sure.
one, just showing it to Will Rhodes, the Warwickshire captain, having a bit of a discussion. But looks like they're going to persist with it, despite obviously Rhodes' reluctance to do so. Henry Brooks is going to continue, Chloe, from the pavilion end.
Yeah, Brooks running in again, right arm over, full of that, driven handsomely there, but for no run as mid-off cuts it off. That was a lovely shot.
Yeah, it was for no run. A terrific stroke, but Stoneman couldn't pierce the infield, so remains on 18. Robson 10. 28 for no wicket in pursuit of just 94 to win, so 66 more required. All 10 wickets intact.
Yeah, Brooks running in again. That's a lovely front drive there into, found a gap this time, and that's 4 runs added to the total.
Yeah, terrific stroke from Stoneman. Quite straight back past the bowler. It was a wideish mid-off when put the full meat of the bat through that.
Yeah, it's gone through that extra cover region, hasn't it? That's quite a eyeing gap there for a batsman, especially for drive. Brooks running in again. It's just shorter of a length this time. It's been defended off the back foot by Stoneman there. Cover picks it up, gives it a little bit of a shine. Looking after that ball.
We'll be doing a radio update in a couple of minutes' time. Lunch due to be around about 1:10 due to the slightly delayed start at 11:15. Warwickshire losing their last 6 wickets for just 43 runs in the first hour of play.
Brooks full of length, and that is a glorious shot. He's just timed that off his legs, straight drive, and comes around to pick it up, and they've taken 3 from it. That's a lovely shot.
It was, yeah, beautifully timed, not quite immaculately timed, and I think the outfield's quite slow anyway with the amount of moisture on it, but long chase for Rhodes down to the boundary, but he cut it off just inside the rope. So 35 for no wicket is the Middlesex total, with Robson on 10 and Stoneman 25 due to face the next delivery from Ollie Hannon-Dolby from the Birmingham end. 4 overs, 1 maiden, no wicket for 14 currently for the veteran Bears fast bowler. Turning at the far end, and Stoneman on strike. As Hannon-Dolby comes in to the left-handed Stoneman, and that was a really good delivery from Hannon-Dolby, fizzing into the gloves of Burgess behind the stumps. But that was the sort of movement that the Essex bowlers were getting out of the pitch in the first hour, Chloe.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a very good ball.
The update for radio listeners coming very shortly. As Hannon-Dolby comes in and Stoneman right behind that. And this is Rob Gurney at Edgbaston, where we're around about 10 minutes away from lunch, but it's most definitely been Middlesex's day 3 of the County Championship match. Bowling Warwickshire out for 232, leaving Middlesex to score just 94 to win, and they're rattling along at 35 for no wicket, so only another 59 required. A slightly delayed start due to the mopping up the outfield following the heavy rain, but Middlesex wasted no time at all. Hayne gone for 69, Bethel 13, Burgess 9, Barnard 4, Hannon-Dolby and Hamza both out for ducks. Ethan Bamber, the Middlesex seamer, with match figures of 9 for 91. So Warwickshire all out for 232 in their second innings, losing 6 wickets for the addition of just 43 runs in the first hour's play. Middlesex, requiring 94 to win, are on 35 for no wicket just before lunch. So Hannon-Dolby to continue from the Birmingham end. He's there and bowls to Stoneman, who has a bit of a flash at that. And third slip, Jacob Bethel with his arms raised in anticipation that was going to be a caught behind, but it wasn't. But this is more encouraging over, Chloe, from Ollie Hannon-Dolby from Warwickshire's point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's bowled really well, actually. He's not given too much away, and he's put Middlesex batters under a little bit of pressure. He's just bowled well. Really.
Chloe Brewer with us from Central Sparks and Birmingham Phoenix in the 100, which is due to get underway very shortly as Hannon-Dolby comes in and bowls, and Stoneman with an attempted flourishing drive but doesn't quite time it, and it's cut off at mid-off. There's no run. Lots of blue sky around Edgbaston, although grey clouds too overhead, but no threat of rain to save Warwickshire from what looks like a fairly comprehensive defeat at the moment.
The tactical rain card.
Unfortunately. As Hannon-Dolby back at his mark, he's coming in from the Birmingham end, running towards us. He's there now and bowls to Stoneman. That's another very good delivery. A bit of a play and a miss from Stoneman at the end of the over. So 35 for no wicket Middlesex. 59 more required to win, with Sam Robson on 10, about to face the first ball of Henry Brooks is next over from the pavilion end. Mark Stoneman with him on 25, Chloe.
Yep, absolutely. Brooks to continue. 59 runs left to win for Middlesex. Yeah, as Robson's just getting himself a set here as Brooks turns and goes. He's running in. That's full of a length, and that's been an edge and caught. First wicket for Warwickshire here, and Middlesex are now 35 for 1, caught in the slip cordon, and there's a ripple of applause from the people in the stadium.
Yeah, well, that's something at least for the Bears. At least they've taken the wicket, and Henry Brooks has struck, and it's Stoneman that's on his way. As I say, it was a good delivery from Henry Brooks, just leaving the batsman and safely taken in the slips. And Eskenazi is the Middlesex batsman coming out to the crease. Just a couple of minutes to go before lunch. Warwickshire strike. It was Robson, beg his pardon, that was out for 10. Stoneman remains on 25, with Eskenazi coming out to join him. 35 for 1, so just a glimmer of hope as far as the Bears are concerned, but no more than that at this stage. And that was the last ball of. In fact, no, it's. I thought Hamza was shining the ball ready to bowl, but now Brooks is going to continue. It was the first ball of his over, of course, wasn't it? So he's got 5 more left, but Warwickshire taking 1 wicket. They only need another 9 to win.
Brooks in again, full of a length, defended by Eskenazi there, and yep, 9 wickets to win for Warwickshire here. So long way off. Middlesex not as long way off, with 59 runs left to win.
Sam Hain with the safe pair of hands in the slips to take the catch. Dismiss Robson for 10.
Brooks running in again, full of a length, driven into the offside by Eskenazi there, and it's been chased down, and they've taken 2 from it. Balls are not really flying off here, even though that's gone along the square. It's just slowed up. Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably, so the outfield is quite slow because of the amount of rain that's fallen in the last, well, 12 hours or so. 18 hours really. So not quite racing away to the boundary.
Brooks again, full of length, and that's driven again. He's found a gap, and Rose chases it down there. So another 2, added to the total, 39 for 1. He's just finding the gaps, isn't it?
Yeah, Middlesex have done well. This modest run chase to do that. Same with Phil earlier. It's no time pressure. They're only on day 3. It's 55 required with 9 wickets in hand.
Brooks full of length, and that's pierced the gap there where gully region would be, and it's just a cheeky single there. Just found the outside edge.
So lunch coming up very shortly. Maybe after this last delivery from Henry Brooks, with Middlesex very well placed to go on not too far into the afternoon session and complete looks at this stage to be Very comfortable win to ease their relegation fears.
Brooks' final ball of the over coming quite on round, and that's just worked into the leg side. Picked up there and taken a single from it. So Middlesex are 41 for 1, and that will be lunch, I believe.
Yep, as the umpires come to remove the bails. So there we are. We've reached lunch here with Middlesex in a very strong position, chasing just 94 to win. They're at 41 for 1. Sam Robson, the man to go, caught at slip by Sam Hain off Henry Brooks for 10. We've got Mark Stoneman still there on 26 not out, and Stevie Eskenazi has recently joined him on 5. So Middlesex require a further 53 runs to win. Tail of the morning's play, you probably heard me say for radio listeners 5 or so minutes ago. The start slightly delayed because of the mopping up operations on the outfield following the heavy rain from yesterday afternoon onwards across the West Midlands and elsewhere. But the ground staff, with the mopper doing a tremendous amount of work on the outfield to get it in a playable condition by around about 11:15. Warwickshire resuming on 189 for 4. We're all out for 232. Hain caught Simpson off to Keras for 69. Bethel, his off stump removed by Ryan Higgins for 13. Michael Burgess, stumps splayed all over the place by Ethan Bamber, and he'd made just 9, including a couple of boundaries. Ed Barnard left one from Higgins, but clipped the off stump. He'd made just 4. And then 2 tail enders, Olihan and Dolby, bowled by Ethan Bamber, no score, and Mir Hamza bowled by Tom Helm for no score. So Warwickshire losing their last 6 wickets for just 43 runs in the first hour of play. And there were 9 extras in total to add to the Warwickshire scorecard. So they were all out for 232. Ethan Bamber, 22 overs, 6 maidens, 4 for 71. Toby Rowland Jones, 19 overs, 3 maidens, none for 57. Tom Helm, 20.4 overs, 5 maidens, 3 for 58. Ryan Higgins, 19 overs, 7 maidens, 2 for 30. And Josh DeCaris, 8 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 12. So Ethan Bamber with match figures of 9 for 91. Warwickshire all out for 232. And Middlesex required 94 to win, therefore they've reached lunch at 41 for 1. So just another 53 runs required to win. We'll be back after lunch on BBC Sport Online, but from Chloe Brewer and myself, Rob Gurney, it's cheerio for now. Welcome back to Edgbaston for the start of the afternoon session on day 3. Middlesex just 53 runs away from victory over Warwickshire with 9 wickets in hand. Bright sunshine, lots of blue sky overhead, so no threat from the weather. And Ollie Hannon-Dolby is to bowl the first over after lunch from the Birmingham end. Left-handed Mark Stoneman, who's on 26 from 42 deliveries, including 4 fours. And Dolby 5 overs, 2 maidens, no wicket for 14, his current figures. As he turns level with the patch of sawdust at the far end and comes in and bowls to Stoneman, and that was a lovely delivery to open up this session. Playing a miss from Stoneman into the gloves of Michael Burgess. Kevin Hand back with us, and Middlesex on this imperious march towards victory, Kevin, it would appear.
They are. I mean, look at the scene now. It's glorious, isn't it? Blue skies, right, patches of grey around in the distance, but overhead it's lovely at the moment.
As Hannon-Dolby runs towards us and bowls to Stoneman, who has a hard slash at that through the vacant third man area for 4 runs. Takes him up to 30, 45 for 1, 49 required.
Yeah, I mean, and that kind of sums up where I was about to go with it. Middlesex, this has been a bowler's surface, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The toss was won by Middlesex, and that was big. You know, they were bowled for 60. Middlesex batters wouldn't have enjoyed it, batting out there, and you know, Rushworth's missing from this game as well. But Middlesex have out-bowled Warwickshire. You know, they have had slightly the better of the conditions. Again, this morning, first thing, bit damp. You know, it's not going to be considerably improved now.
Hannon-Dolby right arm is in and bowls to Stoneman, who leaves that alone off the top of off stump into Burgess's gloves.
But with the ball, I mean, it's hard to judge the bat in this game for either side, I think. Warwickshire will, well, I think you and I discussed it, maybe Brian Halford's a couple of boxes along at lunch. If someone looks at the replay of the dismissals, they missed a lot of straight ones this morning, but what you don't see from just looking at the replays is the ones that weren't straight, the ones that did a bit, they swung or they seamed. Yeah. So that can as much account for missing a straight one, because you're playing down a different line.
There's Hannon-Dolby, the 2 familiar sweatbands on, and bowls to Stoneman, who cracks this one away through the covers for 4 runs. Sat up there a little bit from Hannon-Dolby, and Stoneman filled his boots, moves him on to 34. And the total to 49 for 1, 45 required, so they're past the halfway stage of their target now. It's still 9 wickets in hand. 6th boundary of Stoneman's innings, that one. 3 slips. Yates, Hayne and Bethel. As Hannon-Dolby comes in and bowls, and that was edged through the vacant gully area, but steered rather than a genuine edge from Stoneman. And they come back for an easy couple, and that's the 50 up for Middlesex. 10 overs, a ripple of applause from underneath us in the pavilion. .43 the target in here. Stoneman tapping his bat as he waits, and Hannon-Dolby moves in and bowls, and prodded into the offside this time by Stoneman for a dot ball. So 51 for 1. 10 coming off that Ollie Hannon-Dolby over. Middlesex determined not to hang around. And Henry Brooks from the pavilion end, 2 overs, 1 for 13. He Took the wicket of Sam Robson just before lunch. Pouched by Sam Hain at second slip. When Robson had made 10, Kevin.
Here he is, Brooks, 2 slips. Third a little wider. He's a 4th slip rather than a gully. A forward defence from Eskenazi to mid-on. 51 for 1. Red Inkers will be on both of these batters' minds, quite rightly at this stage, quite selfishly. Poor Eskenazi's hasn't really had too many scores this summer just yet, and then he broke a finger holding on to a catch. Not broke a finger, but he injured a finger. Holding on to a catch, missed the last game. Against Surrey on a better batting surface, back for this one, where runs have been at a premium. As Brooks sets off once more. Sun mostly shining on Edgbaston. No, Eskenazi steps across and wristily whips that one back with a square on the leg side from nearly outside the off stump. Wonderful shot, and perhaps thinking ahead to the 100. Stephen Eskenazi, who again had a fine blast campaign for Middlesex.
There's a lovely roll of the wrists from Eskenazi. And, deep backward square leg, no chance of cutting that off. So he's on to 9, 55 for 1 and 39 more required. To the 100 and the white ball cricket beyond that for these two teams.
Full ball pushed back to mid-on. Eskenazi moves to 10, 56 for 1.
Till the 4-day stuff resumes in September. And this is not the way that Warwickshire would have wanted to go into the break. They've got the distinct look of a mid-table championship side, if you like, in Division 1 this season. Outside contenders still for the title before this, but very optimistic to think that after this result.
Oh, has he nicked that? No, he hasn't. Through to the keeper it goes. Brooks around the wicket to Stoneman, which is very much the want to Stoneman from opposing teams at the moment. The want of many a left-handed batsman nowadays, but look, it's chop on that one. I thought I heard a little nick as it went through, but
it was a good take in the end by Burgess, having to readjust and plunge quite quickly to his right to cut that off.
Off it goes again, just down below us at the pavilion end. Bowls just full of length and a solid defence from Stoneman on that into the offside, no run. Stoneman on 36, and I mentioned Eskenazi wanted a red inker. Similarly, Stoneman, a difficult season for the batters. Let's draw up the averages in front of me here. Stoneman, a former England opener. Durham, again, played for Durham in that 2012 fixture, which Middlesex aren't going to repeat here by falling short of a relatively modest total. 118 it was on that day, bowled for 102. And again, each innings climbed. The second was higher than the first, the third was higher than the second, but then Middlesex done for 102 in the final innings. A bouncer to Stoneman, and a no ball called, I assume on height, by Hassan Adnan, or is he going to look at the, yeah, he's walked straight back past the crease, so it wasn't where his foot landed. I think it was that short, but not for a championship game anyway. Bash would be quite happy that it was that short, but I guess that's for the games when they're trying to hide the ball, isn't it? That's the reason that rule is in place, that law is in place, so it has to be adhered to. Goodness me, a lovely scene around Birmingham at the moment, isn't it? Fluffy clouds. One of them is just settled in front of the sun at the moment above us as forward goes Stoneman defending, and there's no run. Quite the difference to 340 yesterday when tea was taken on time because of the rain. End of the over, 58 for 1.
Cascaded down from there on to
indeed
pretty much about, according to the ground staff, I think about 7 o'clock this morning here in just outside the middle of Birmingham, Edgbaston, which makes the ground staff's reparation to the playing surface all the more admirable to only lose the first 15 minutes of play today. But Middlesex certainly made hay once play did get underway. Warwickshire losing 6 wickets for the addition of just 43 runs this morning to be all out for 232 from 189 for 4 overnight. Sam Hain adding only 3 to his overnight total, and his dismissal for 69 triggered the collapse really, as Hannon Dolby moves in for a new over to the right-handed Eskenazi, who jabs his bat down that very full length delivery into the offside, where Mir Hamza does the fielding, and there's no run. Skyline of Birmingham city centre, illuminated by the watery sunshine, but clouds very high, plenty of blue in the cloud cover as Hannon Dolby turns, moves towards us. He's in now and bowls to Eskenazi, and comfortably negotiated really up to mid-on by the Middlesex batsman. And Alex Davis does the fielding. Michael Burgess, the Bears wicket keeper, red ball cricket. Alex Davis, majority of the T20 campaign, save a couple of matches when Moeen Ali was captain. Was both skipper and gloves man for Warwickshire, but in the side as a specialist batsman in the 4-day stuff. Again, as there was just before lunch, a discussion between the two umpires about the state of the ball. But, we're going to continue without the need for a change as Hannon Dolby shines it on the front of his trousers and comes in and bowls, and Eskenazi plays it back up to the bowler, and Hannon Dolby gets a foot to it, but in diverting it into a vacant position in the onside, it allows Eskenazi to come through for a single, taking him on to 11, and the total to 59 for 1, so 35 more required. Another radio update to come in the next couple of minutes or so for those listeners on BBC CWR and BBC Radio WM. Hannon Dolby there and bowls, and that's a bit of a swish from Stoneman. Really get hold of that, but didn't. Neither did he get a bottom edge to it, which would have either taken it onto his stumps or into Burgess's gloves, so no harm done. 59 for 1. Hannon Dolby back at his mark, sporting the closely cropped hairstyle this season. 6'7", and he comes now past the umpire and bowls, and Stoneman has a dabble at that. That was a very good line in length from Ollie Hannon Dolby, tempting Stoneman, but didn't clip the outside edge through to the gloves of Burgess, and there's no run. 1 ball to come in the 13th over of the Middlesex second innings. 7th over of Ollie Hannon Dolby's spell, as he comes in again past the umpire and bowls Stoneman, who solidly behind this, and Hannon Dolby stops it off his own bowling. End of the over. Eskenazi shortly to face this next delivery at the start of Henry Brooks's 4th over on 11. Mark Stoneman 36. 59 for 1 is the Middlesex score. 35 more required for victory with 9 wickets in hand, Kevin.
Yes, and well, frustrating way really for Warwickshire for the match to end. They'd have hopes, again, as we've said. I mean, you'd look at it now and say, well, 120, it wouldn't have made much of a difference, would it? Even if they'd have got another 20 or 30 more, as this ball's just full of a length. Forward goes Eskenazi, defended back to mid-off. All the work that they put in yesterday. It is very difficult, and Middlesex have been on the reverse of this many times this season. Very difficult when you're bowled for 60 to win a match.
Radio update.
Usually
shortly.
For Middlesex, you know, it's a collapse. You know, if you've lost, I think, you know, let's go to Lords, but the Oval, perhaps 9 for not very many. You don't win matches.
And this is Rob Gurney at Edgbaston, where Middlesex are steering themselves towards a comprehensive victory over Warwickshire here on day 3 of this county championship match. They need just 94 to win and are 60 for 1, so 34 more required. The only breakthrough for Warwickshire, Sam Robson caught by Sam Hain in the slips off Henry Brooks for 10 shortly before lunch. Middlesex reached 41 for 1 at lunch, but they haven't lost any further wickets since the interval. Warwickshire losing their last 6 wickets today for just the addition of 43 runs in the first hour's play, going from 189 for 4 to 232 all out. Sam Hain adding just 3 to his overnight total. He went for 69, and that seemed to trigger the Bears' batting collapse. So Middlesex on their way to a convincing win to ease their relegation fears. 33 more required for them. They have 9 wickets in hand at 61 for 1.
Typical, I turn from one task to you just as the update arrives. Apologies, Rob.
That's fine, don't worry. But yeah, single off the, or a couple of runs actually, off the Henry Brooks ball or 2.
This ball's clipped to mid-wicket by Eskenazi off Brooks, and there's no run. So 61 for 1, Middlesex nearly there. What does this mean for the season, which we wrap up, because this will happen quickly, and of course we'll bring Chloe and Phil back in at some point as well. For Middlesex, they will feel they're in a very strong position to avoid relegation now with this victory. They'd have liked it to have been 2 weeks ago against Northamptonshire at Northwood, where they took 8 points for scores level, which is still a possibility here. It's Brooks bowls, this ball's driven away out to deep cover, and they'll take a single. Eskenazi moves to 13, and it's 62 for 1. But the defeat to Surrey at home, you kind of walked away from the Surrey home defeat, and 4 of Middlesex's final 5 championship games are away from home, and your second bottom needing to overturn an 11-point gap to Kent, albeit with a game in hand, but you've still got to win that game from somewhere. And where are they going to win it? Warwickshire away, Warwickshire at home, Essex, Somerset, Nottinghamshire. So here's a bouncer to Stoneman, through to the keeper it goes. 62 for 1. Their chances of survival, now they'll still have a game in hand on Kent. They'll obviously take the 16 points from this one, plus 3 with the ball, so 19 points out of this game, which we'll have to wait and see. Kent are holding on at the moment at Trent Bridge, or keeping Nottinghamshire at bay, and it's again the 3rd afternoon and they're still in the first innings of that match, so there's a good chance Kent may well save that game. Oh goodness me, look who's arrived just behind us.
It's Richard Wilford.
I didn't know. I turned around, had a shock. I forgot Richard was coming. Good to see you, pal. So for Warwickshire, this doesn't end their title chances, because they still have to play Surrey and they still have a game in hand on the teams above. But it does mean that, much like Middlesex's, it's not much like Middlesex's. Middlesex always knew 1 win would give them a chance of staying up. This will move to 3 wins for the season. So, but Warwickshire, they'll have to go on a bit of a winning run, won't they, including beating Surrey. Yes,
I said, I think earlier on, a little bit of a mid-table feel to things now, as Rob Yates is turning his arm over. A spin from the Birmingham end. He played 10, won 4, lost 3, drawn 3. Warwickshire after this. As a left-handed Stoneman waits. Just a little prod at that and beats the shoulder of his bat through to Burgess, and Stoneman comes down the pitch and does a little bit of gardening. And that might have pitched. Yates there, and this time Stoneman makes room and steers it out towards the square leg boundary for an easy single. 38. Stoneman 64 for 1. Right-handed Eskenazi on strike, and played back to the bowler for no run. 30 needed. Just tickled round the corner, this next one from Yates. Comfortable single. Hamza doing the fielding. 65 for one. 29 needed.
50 there for Stoneman now, isn't there?
Yes, potentially. I'm sure he'd like to have that on his CV. And say that he has a bit of a slash at that. Nearly perished. You nearly put the curse of the commentator on him.
Yeah,
there,
I did.
Kevin.
Sorry. Keep quiet, Hans.
Yeah. But that's the end of the over. 65 for one. Stoneman remains on 38. Eskenazi 15.
Was it a bottom edge? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Either that or it came off the keeper. It beat him and came off the keeper's glove down to slip. But Stoneman's averaging 26 this season. This will be a 50-50 actually. I mean, the problem that Middlesex have overwhelmingly faced this season is that Sam Robson's the only batter to have reached 3 figures. That coming in the chase at Northamptonshire against Northamptonshire. As this ball's full from Brooks, pushed up to mid-on by Eskenazi in the snow. And it always throws me, that fixture, because Northamptonshire played Middlesex at Northwood. So every time I try to say it, I always get my I kind of start and I can't quite get the sentence out. So I have to call it MTS, Merchant Taylor School, which in itself in Northamptonshire, Merchant Taylor School. Even there I stumble trying to say it. Yeah, that was the 1 century from Middlesex batter this year as they reached scores level with the final ball of the match. Took 8 points as a result. Northamptonshire taking 5 as this ball's nicked. Oh, what a catch! Wow! Slips just a little bit wider and he had to go an awful long way to his left there, and Eskenazi's gone for 15, a little dabble, 65 for 2. So he makes his way off. He won't be there to help Middlesex over the line on this one. And that was good pace, good bounce from Brooks. Everything we said of this pitch today really is just a little bit reminiscent of the first morning really, or the first day indeed as a whole, when you just saw that pace and bounce along with a bit of movement as well. And Eskenazi perishes. So 65 for 2, not quite there yet, Middlesex. And joy for Brooks, his second of the innings.
Yeah, having removed Sam Robson for 10, he's now got Steve Eskenazi on his way for 15. And just something for the Bears supporters to get excited about. But very little in the overall scheme of things to be delighted with, really. Mark Stoneman just giving the new man, Jack Davis, a pat on the back as he comes to the crease. So 29 more needed for Middlesex. Rob Yates with the catch. Spectacular bit of fielding. Makes him something to remember this match by. 8 wickets in hand and 29 more runs for Middlesex to complete this victory. Davis twirling his bat as Brooks prepares to come in. Kevin,
leg gully in place as well, as this ball is run off the back foot to backward point by Davies, no run. And 65 for 2 is the score. Tim Mercer sitting down alongside Sam Robson to our right. Player coach Mercer rotated out for this one. Played against Surrey last week. Robson, who has such a fine record against Warwickshire, it was an incredible run, kept on scoring runs against us at one stage. It was that period really when he was fighting back from being dropped by England, when he had a tough year in 2015 but just got on a run after that. So here's Brooks bowls, he's dabbed into the onside by Davis, no run. 65 for 2 it is. So can the youngster, a young opening bat himself by trade, Davies, under 19 for England, perhaps pretender to Stoneman's current crown. How old is Stoneman now? Still have plenty of years in him, no doubt. Players do play for so much longer, don't they? But yeah, this would be his 4th 50 of the season if he could do it, Stoneman. Sorry, 5th 50 of the season as Brooks bowls, just full of length, left alone by Davies, through to the keeper. He's 36 now. Just turned 36 the other day. And again, batters, they can go on for years, can't they? But test average of 27.6. First class average of 35.5. But again, so much of that played at Chesterley Street.
Yeah, started with Durham back in 2007. Mark Stoneman. And 6 fours in this innings of 38 so far.
Around the wicket goes Brooks again. He's hooked by Davies down to long leg. A single. He'll keep the strike. 66 for 2. How long have we had after lunch? I've lost time with it all now. It's probably time for a change. Shall I get out of the way? Because you'll have an update in 15 minutes. Oh, do you do the half hour as well?
No, not anymore, no.
Do we need a double change or a single change? Whatever. I'll let anybody in. Chloe, Phil, who wants it? Chloe's on the move.
Okay.
See you in a little while, Rob. But 66
right,
for 2. They're nearly there at the moment. I'm leaving it in relatively safe hands here, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, it'd be a very difficult one for Middlesex to let slip from here. But Yates, having taken that nice catch to get rid of Eskenazi, is bowling again from the Birmingham end. Second over for him, which is turned by Davis into the onside for no run. Yates on the paces, right arm bowls to Davis. All about Middlesex staying professional now, Chloe, isn't it? Let's see this over the line.
Yep, absolutely. Only 28 runs left.
As Yates is there, and that's left alone. Wide delivery by Davis outside the off stump.
Is just not trying to win the game in about 6 balls.
Seagull flies in low level over Edgbaston as Rob Yates' next delivery is steered comfortably into the onside, where Jacob Bethel comes and does the fielding. Wandering around on the outfield, the Seagull at the moment, as Davis defends Yates' next delivery. 17 bowling to 17. Well. Go on, Chloe, sorry.
I was just saying, it cracked me up seeing all the birds on the outfield most of the time, munching on the seeds.
Now floating off into the distance over the Holly stand as Yates beats the off stump as Davis took a big stride down the wicket. And there's no run, so the end of the over. 66 for 2 is the Middlesex score. 94 is the target, so just another 28 required, and Mark Stoneman will be keen to see them over the line. He's on 38 not out. Robson 10 and Eskenazi 15, the 2 wickets, both falling to Henry Brooks. 5 overs, no maidens, 2 for 24. He is going to continue, Chloe, from the pavilion end.
Yep, Brooks right on around, and that's been pulled into the leg side, and that's a split for 2 fielders there perfectly. He couldn't split them better if he tries. That is another 4 runs added to the total. 24 left to win. That was a good shot.
It was by Mark Stoneman. His 7th 4 of the innings takes him into the 40s, on to 42. Alex Davis and Ollie Hannon-Dolby, little and large, were converging on that ball, but neither of them were able to intercept it on its way to the boundary.
Brooks in again from the pavilion end, and that's just a short of a length outside off and defended off the back foot, pushed just in front of point, and they've taken a single from it.
So difficult for Warwickshire in these circumstances, but just got to stick at it, and maybe from their point of view get another wicket or 2 along the way. But this match was lost on the first morning, really, where they were skittled out for only 60. 22 wickets fell on the opening day in total, of course.
Brooks, and again beating the outside air drag on straight through to the keepers. He's switched up and he's come now over to the left-hander. And, just doing that routine bit of gardening. Again, as batters tend to do.
Helpful conditions for Middlesex this morning. And maybe a little bit of moisture got onto the pitch following the heavy rain.
Brooks again full of a length, defended by Davies there. That's just another dot ball there.
Warwickshire slipping from 189 for 4 to 232 all out. Haynes 69, Bethel 13, Burgess 9, Barnard 4, Alan Dolby and Hamza no score. Ethan Bamber with 4 more wickets to add to his fifer in the first innings. Match figures 9 for 91 for the Middlesex fast bowler, setting the platform for this victory.
Brooks full of a length, outside off, left alone that time. Yes, what a bowling display it was from Middlesex, especially that young man was pulling off it's a game of his life, isn't it? It's not very often you get 9 wickets in a game, is it?
And Ryan Higgins with a couple of wickets today as well. Josh DeCare's got the vital wicket, really, that of Sam Hain, when he'd gone from 66 to only 69 this morning. Opened the face of the bat, and the late decision proved to be the wrong one from Hain's point of view.
Brooks full of effort, and that is a handsome drive down the ground. And it is just trickling towards the boundary, and it goes over the boundary. That's another 4 runs added a total. Middlesex are 75 for 2.
Jack Davis with a beautifully timed stroke there to a long off boundary for 4. Moves him on to 5. 75 for 2, the Middlesex total. And the target below 20 now, just 19 more needed for a comprehensive Middlesex victory. Say the 4-day game takes a pause now for a month, as the 100 and the 1-day cup, as far as the county game is concerned, as Yates continues from the Birmingham end and bowls to Stoneman, who prods this out circumspectly into the offside. Hain does the fielding and there's no run. Yates again, that's a odd slash at that. That was over the head of Ed Barnard, down towards Henry Brooks in front of the point boundary. Stoneman comes through and moves on to 44. 76 for 2. 18 more required. And he's given that the long handle. Davis not messing about, and that's 6.
Absolutely.
Back over the bowler's head for a maximum for Jack Davis, in a hurry to get this over with, it would appear. That's the first 6 of the Middlesex second innings. 82 for 2, and just 12 more required now.
Yep, that's it, isn't it? If they've got it into a position where there's only really one outcome and it's going for it. It's a great shot down the ground. See, a bit of a pickle getting off the side screen.
Yeah, just trying to manoeuvre the tarpaulin white side screen the far end of the ground to retrieve the ball, which Ollie Hannon Dolby has finally done so. Davis a 6 and a 4 in his total of 11. And 2 more of those will do it for Middlesex.
Yeah.
12 needed. Yates is in, and this time big step down the pitch from Davis, just defends into the offside, and there's no run. Yates already back at his mark. He's there again, and this is played back down the pitch by Davis. Yates. Last ball of the third over, and very, very close to a nick there into the gloves of Burgess as Davis took a big stride down the pitch, but he didn't get the nick to it off the shoulder of his bat, so Davis survives the end of the over. 19 overs into the Middlesex innings, 82 for 2 in pursuit of 94 for victory. And Dan Mosley is going to turn his arm over from the pavilion end now.
Yeah, but he had a very good T20 campaign from what I remember a couple of weeks ago. That's when that finished. Very good campaign. So first over for him. Let's see. For Warwickshire bowlers now, it'll just be getting out of that over, won't it? Mostly full of length, defended to mid wicket. This fast ball is coming. Right arm, right arm round to the left-hander. Yeah, again full of length, defended by Stoneman there. It's a pass back to him, returning to the top of his mark. Turning again, just shorter of a length this time. Cut off that, but I found a man at point. There's a lot of space either side of him as well.
Quite timed that, Stoneman.
No, Mosey.
His frustration.
Full of length, defended there. He's get through the serve ever so quickly. Turn and go. He's on his fifth ball of the over already. Mosey in again, full of length, defended there by Stoneman. Mid wicket, picks up, chucks it back, and he's taken a walk to the top of his mark from a pavilion end. As he's in for a final ball of the over, which is defended off his legs, and that brings the end of the over. That is an incredibly quick over by Dan Mosey, and there is no run from it.
Yeah, maiden for Dan Mosley. Puts the Bears cap back on his head, bowled that over with his sunglasses on. A maiden over from the youngster. 82 for 2. Middlesex 12 needed for a very welcome win for them. Rob Yates, no wicket for 10 from his 3 overs. He's in again. And Davis, having smashed him for 6 the previous over, just plays this into the offside, and Yates already back at his mark. He's there and bowls to Davis. And Barnard at point does the fielding, and there's no run. This time Davis plays the ball up to mid-on, where Alan Dolby fields. Yates already on his way in again. Davis just very watchful, plays this into the offside for no run.
He's just getting it up there, isn't he? Can't get underneath this length. Everybody's in, so.
Left alone by Davis outside off stump. 2 encouraging shouts from Bears teammates for Rob Yates. That's the last ball of his 4th over. He's there and bowls to Davis. That's a couple of maidens for the Bears slower bowlers. Mosley's followed up by one from Yates, and just delaying the inevitable here as far as the Middlesex victory charge is concerned, just before 2:30 in the afternoon on the third day of this match. And Middlesex 12 runs away from victory, having been set just 94 to win by Warwickshire earlier on, as Stoneman tries to turn this one off his hip, but picks out Hannon Dalby at fine leg. This time they will come through for a single. In fact, there's a misfield by Hannon Dalby, so they'll take a couple, which brings the target down to just 10 at 84 for 2.
Yep. Mosey's just ticking it over. Mosey on length, defended by Stone there. Just see the intents, just trying to sneak another single each ball. So just ticking the runs over now. The final stretch of the day. Mosley in again, short of left, and that's a big appeal for caught behind, and umpire's not interested. All team are celebrating there. There's a hands on heads there. Keeper's asking the question, how's that not out? But Stoneman remains there on 46. Man who's seen the Middlesex batters through the whole of this innings.
And the Warwickshire fielders were convinced, but the only man that wasn't was the umpire.
Mosley short and flat this time, worked towards 45 there. That brings the end of the over there. Middlesex 84 for 2.
Yeah, so 10 more required. Lost Robson for 10 just before lunch, and Eskenazi for 15 just after. Henry Brooks taking those 2 wickets, but Mark Stoneman and now Jack Davis looking to see Middlesex over the line. It's going to be Yates, 4 overs, 2 maidens, no wicket for 10 to continue from the Birmingham end, and Davis makes room but then withdraws his bat at the last moment. Yates right arm, and Davis this time will take a single. In fact, another misfield, this time from Alex Davis, and it's going to cost a couple of runs. He took his eye off it as he tried to pick up and shy at the stumps almost in the same movement there, and the ball escaped his right hand and ran on towards the boundary. He cut it off, but gave Middlesex an extra couple of runs there, so 87 for 2, only 7 more required. Davis turns this one into the onside. Hamza quickly onto it, but not before they've come through for a single. So 88 for 2, and just 6 required now. Yates already back at his mark. He's there and bowls. Davis just prods this one down to Ed Barnard. A dot ball. Comes Yates and bowls to Davis on 14. 88 for 2. Last ball, and attempted sweep by Davis, which he doesn't connect with. That's the end of the over. And Kevin Hand rejoins us with Middlesex 6 runs away from a crucial victory, Kevin.
Glory boys back for the winning runs, eh? Well, a rare feeling for Middlesex this season. They're looking for a 3rd win, and but you know, it's a return to Division 1, and actually it's amazing what a difference a win can make. You know, after the draw, the score's level with Northamptonshire, but that really did feel like a defeat when they walked off. As he's Mosley around the wicket, that's clipped by Stoneman. He's on 47 to backward square leg, and there's no run. But funnily, you know, I have to admit, I came into this game feeling a little bit flat, other than working with all you guys, and genuinely coming back to Edgbaston as this ball's through to the keeper, just darted through, and Stoneman looks for a late cut. You know, the defeat to Surrey, the Old Trafford washout, was like, oh, cricket, really? Mosley bowls a quicker one, and Stoneman thinks about a single, just fine at the mid-wicket. It's not there. 88 for 2 it remains. Yeah, I think Middlesex, they're going to be up against it. Warwickshire and Edgbaston, you know, a lot to play for themselves. But I mean, again, that toss was crucial. Winning the toss, bowling Warwickshire out for 60, it set this game up for Middlesex. As this ball's full and straight again, and resisted by Stoneman, who just pushes back. By Davies, sorry, who pushes back. Wait, it does say Stoneman on the board. Have they got? I'm sure. Ah, they did me at the start of the over. That's what it is. As Davies is forward, and he runs that back at a point for a single. Have I got it the right way round? I thought at the beginning of the over, Stoneman ran a single to backward square, but obviously they were lightning quick on the scoreboard. Where it said Davies, it was actually Stoneman. Or the other way around. But anyway, it's Davies on strike, 89 for 2. And Stoneman's on 48. It's 5 to win. And Davies with a solid forward defence. That's the end of the over. So Stoneman will have strike on 48 within sight of his his 5th 50 of the season, and the winning runs perhaps for Middlesex. 5 runs required for victory. But yeah, all of a sudden now the second half of the season has a better feel about it for Middlesex. It really did feel like, wow, this is a momentous task ahead of them to find the victory that they will need to climb above Kent, and you know, make sure that those other draw points are there as well to keep Kent at bay. And obviously you're hoping all that time that Kent aren't winning themselves. As
Yates starts a new over, and Davis gives us a clout, but on the first bounce it's fielded at mid-wicket by Hayne, and there's no run. And Yates there again, and Stoneman just allows this to drift past his off stump into Burgess's gloves. Again, Stoneman picks out Brooks in the covers this time, and there's no run. Stoneman will be keen to get to his 50, I'm sure, to personally ice the cake in this Middlesex victory, and he's launched that away, and that will be his 50. 4 runs signalled, and Mark Stoneman takes the acclaim of the Middlesex dressing room and the Warwickshire members underneath us as well in the pavilion. 56 balls. It's no, he's on 52 actually. 84 balls, was it? Or 83 balls, according to.
Hard to read up there, isn't it? Yeah, 83 it looks like on the BBC website. That one's dabs away to mid-off and no run.
They mistakenly given him a 6 there, I think. Yes, it's 8 fours.
86 balls by the looks of it.
Anyway, 8 fours. Stoneman's there, and one's prodded up to mid-on. So scores are level, 1 more required for victory for Middlesex. To describe that winning run, it's Kevin Hand.
Well, you know, again, the difference it all makes that they came off that Northamptonshire game at Northwood with 8 points from scores level rather than 5 for the draw. And then the Surrey game, they very nearly, they're about an hour away from escaping with the draw in that one if they could have hung on with the weather that was quickly approaching Lords. But all of a sudden, if they take 16 from this and 8 from the Northamptonshire game, someone would have said over the 3 games you get 24 points. It's a short one. It's darted down and it's hooked away by Davis. And there's the winning runs. Davis moves to 18 with a boundary. Middlesex 97 for 2. An 8-wicket win and a 3rd win of the season, and a win which, with a game in hand above Kent, on Kent, who are above them, will give them a real chance this year on their return to the top flight of retaining their Division 1 status. It's been a difficult few weeks for them. Failed run chase. It's hard to call it failed when they got the scores level, but they got 8 points from it, 8 points from that game and 16 from this. Obviously the bonus points as well, 3 bonus points with the ball for Middlesex. But again, going into the Northamptonshire game at home and a home game against Surrey and an away game at Warwickshire, somebody would have said at the start of those 3 games, from the results points, take the bonus points out of it, you'll come away with 24 points. I think Middlesex might just have taken that. I'm pretty sure they would, to be honest. So, yeah, it's a big win for Middlesex, this, and an 8-wicket victory. It looks big on the scoreboard, and well done Mark Stoneman. A tough season with the bat for all the Middlesex batters, but a 5th 50 of the season for him, and he'll walk off feeling pretty good with a red inker as well, and a deserved one as well. He's a gritty player and he's a team player, Stoneman, popular man at the top, so that'll help Middlesex's averages for sure. In this match, and also again, this could have been tricky. 97 for 2. I know we sit here now and, oh come on, it was never going to be tricky. It could have been. They're under pressure. They were under pressure, but that pressure alleviates an awful lot. It's hard to overstate how much those 16 points will mean to Middlesex coming out of this game.
Yeah, Warwickshire all out for 60 on the first morning. That's where the match was lost, coupled with the fact that they came in today at 189 for 4 and then promptly lost 6 wickets for just 43 runs to be all out for 232, leaving Middlesex to score just 94 to win, and they got there for the loss of just 2 wickets. Sam Robson for 10, Stephen Eskenazi for 15. The Warwickshire bowling figures: Ollie Hannah-Dolby, 7 overs, 2 maidens, no wicket for 25. Mia Hamza, 3 overs, 1 maiden, no wicket for 14. Henry Brooks, 6 overs, no maidens, 2 for 33. And then Rob Yates, 6 overs, 2 maidens, no wicket for 18. Dan Mosley, 3.1 overs, 1 maiden, no wicket for 7. There were 2 extras, which were 2 no balls. And in 25.1 overs, with Mark Stoneman on 52 and Jack Davis on 18, Middlesex scoring 97 for 2 to win here at Edgbaston against Warwickshire by 8 wickets. Kevin?
That puts Middlesex to 84 points after 10 games, 3 wins. Kent coming into this round, having played 10, this is their 11th game now. They start on 76 points now. They're just on the verge of a first batting point against Nottinghamshire, who are the team who sit 1 place above them, who came into this round with 92 points. So Middlesex, as things stand, excluding the bonus points from the Nottinghamshire game, they're 8 points behind Nottinghamshire. Nottinghamshire will take those bonus points that they've got with the bat already, and whatever bowling points, and then a draw or a win. Well, whatever happens in that game between Kent and Nottinghamshire, actually Middlesex's final game of the season, is away at Nottinghamshire at Trent Bridge, so it could be quite the finale if Kent then go on a little bit of a streak themselves. Indeed, if Kent were to win that match at Nottinghamshire, they're in a good position with the bat at the moment, certainly to try and avoid defeat on the 3rd day. So yes, Rob, it was lovely to work with you again today.
Yes,
indeed, the last time I don't think we even told listeners, we sat there and watched it rain all day, so we didn't actually get a chance to work on air together.
Oh no.
So an absolute pleasure to do it.
Kevin,
thanks to everybody. It's been lovely to see everybody again up here. It really has. It's been so long. 2017 the last time, and well, with this win there's every chance I'll be coming back again next year.
There is, yeah. Warwickshire are going to be somewhere in